Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, your host of the Raiders Report, and we're live like we go live every single Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. Coming up here on today's show, we're going to look forward here to Week 4 action up against the Chicago Bears. I'm also going to talk about some NFL news that happened today that, I think Pete Carroll and this coaching regime could learn a thing or two about, because to me, if you see things going on around the National Football League, I think good coaches, good ownerships, good organizations go, all right, well, how can I learn from that? How can I learn from that? Because you can apply a lot of things that happen around the NFL to your current team. So coming up here on today's show, I'm going to talk about some things that I would like to see the Raiders potentially change moving forward up against the Bears. And I'm not going to sit up here and rip apart the coaching staff. I'm not going to sit up here and really poke holes in a lot of these things that need to be changed. But, I sit up here as a Raiders fan after 2 straight games that, let's face it, those were the last 2 games were a little bit difficult to watch. What I don't want to see is what I saw in Week 3, where we do something, we don't make any corrections from it, and it's just the same thing over the same thing, and then we're expecting to get a different result. To me, I've identified 5 things here on today's program that I want to see Pete Carroll, I want to see John Spytek, Chip Kelly, Patrick Graham, changes that need to happen if we're actually trying to win this football season. Next thing I'm going to talk about is this, and I would say probably over the last 48 hours, the amount of fans that have reached out to me and have said, like, hey, is there a certain player that we could potentially target in NFL free agency? And I've sat back here and I'm like, I don't really think that Pete Carroll's going to go out and sign anyone. I don't really think that this regime's going to go out and add anybody. But what I have done here is I have given you guys an updated list. 10, technically 11 players. We had to make some changes late here in the show because of some NFL news that happened. But I'm going to rank the top NFL free agent targets that the Las Vegas Raiders have looked at. That I would look at if I was the silver and black. And then we're going to get into a Week 4 preview up against the Chicago Bears. And I love doing this segment because it allows me to be able to look on a little bit of a deeper level. Where can we take advantage at the quarterback position? Where can we take advantage at wide receiver? Where can we take advantage maybe on the offensive line, defensive backs? Like, I like to be able to sit down, crunch some numbers, look at some mismatches, and that's what you're going to see on this show. Then we got a Tuna's Top 5, and this one is going to be from my guy, Jeremy Chuggs. It's going to be around NFL teams. It's going to be around a certain topic that we were discussing here today at the Chat Sports Studios. And then the final thing we will do here on today's program is a $20 Venmo duck race. If you want a chance to win a little bit of money, get it in right now at Mitchell Renz 365. Now, I am somebody that I am always honest with the nation, and I hate to admit this, but I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit tired today. I just took some Panda Sups to wake my butt up here a little bit. Shout out to Panda Sups for sponsoring today's program. If you don't know, use code Raiders. You're going to be able to save 25% off at pandasups.com. Whether you want to get your hands on some protein, I got to get my hands on some of that new nootropics out there. We got all sorts of products, and it's owned and operated by a die-hard Raiders fan. So, pandasups.com, code Raiders for 25% off. If you spend $99, you're going to get free shipping if you live in the States. If you spend $125, not only are you going to get the free shipping, but you're also going to get some creatine on top of that. Now, we do already have 500 people here in the building, and my question to you is this. Are you more concerned about the Raiders' offense or defense moving forward up against the Chicago Bears? And I ask this question because obviously the Raiders' offense has struggled. But I think also we got to be able to sit back and look at that game against the Commanders and go, the defense was really flipping bad. Special teams was really flipping bad. And yes, the defense played well the first 2 games, but now you're going to go up against the Chicago Bears team that's really struggled on the defensive side of the football, but they've looked pretty damn good on the offensive side of the football. And you're going to be going up against Ben Johnson, somebody that this team really tried to pursue, and they tried to get him this offseason. So let me know down below, which side of the ball are you more concerned about? Rudy Mendez says both. Rudy, come on, man. Come on, man. Raider Nation 80 says defense. Paul's going to go with offense. Rich Rico's going to go with defense. Juan Hernandez says offense. Robert Flores says offense. Diego Torres says offense. Ron Justice says offense. And then John just says, I'm really just nervous about the offensive line. But one of the ways that I like to interact with Raider Nation here, and it's why we are the #1 most watched Raider show for 7 years in a row. There's a reason why we have almost 204,000 subscribers. It's the community that we've been able to build here. So if you want to get your questions, you want to get your comments up here on the screen for me to answer, or if you guys want to talk about a certain topic, fire away, man. The bigger the super chat, the longer I'll talk about it. If you throw in a hundo, I like to consider that a bang, and we will jump you to the very front of the line. So I already see that we have a few super chats here on today's program. Before I bring those up, I do want to tell y'all about our deals on today's program. And if you don't know, every time we go live this month, if you send in a $5 super chat, you're going to be entered in for a chance to win a signed Ashton Genty helmet, which, crazy enough, this time next week, we're going to be giving this bad boy away. And I'm really, really excited. What'd you say? And Reed, he's producing right now. Chugs had to step out real quick. Reed is literally going through and but tallying all of the raffle entries. That way, we're ready to rock and roll next week. Like I mentioned, if you want to get in, $20 Venmo, that's how you're going to get in the duck race. Today, I'm doing $50 bangs. And, you know, I know how difficult it is sometimes to watch the Raiders report, especially when, let's face it, right? Like that Week 3 game, that was a kick in the nuts. The Monday Night Football game was a kick in the nuts. And I'm thinking to myself, how can I always do my job better here? And how can I make this show more entertaining for Raider Nation people that tune in on a random Tuesday? So my deal to you is this. If we get 10 bangs today, I'm going to start off our Thursday Night Football shenanigans show with a boot. And it's going to be a Happy Dad boot, probably, unless Jerry has other words for me. He was our MVP last Thursday night. So if we get 10 bangs today, I'm literally starting off Thursday Night Football with the boot. And if you've watched Thursday Night Football, starting off that show with the boot could mean bad things for this guy. Let's go to the first super chat coming in here from the Night Devil, which, for those of you that do not know, I actually had the opportunity to meet the Night Devil's mother literally an hour ago. She dropped off some food, and I believe Chugs and I are going to test it out on Thursday. Sweet, sweet lady. She was about this big, and she was soft-spoken. Literally, he goes, yeah, people try to steal her all the time, which I was like, bro, I promise you this. I'm not going to try to steal your mom. Up-tempo offense, less time for the line to underperform. I don't mind the idea of trying to be up-tempo, and one of the things that I'll talk about actually here on today's program is why I want the Raiders to try to develop some plays where they get the ball out quicker. And I know Chip Kelly's offense is predicated on stretching the ball down the field, but what I'm a little bit concerned about Chip right now is you could tell that Kelly has been in college football since 2018 because his offense, I just think it reminds me of a college offense, and that's just how I'm going to say it. And maybe he's just used to having, certain players like an Ohio State offense, and, they got all these super talented players on the field. It's kind of what it looks like right now for the Raiders. Obviously, the Raiders have more talent, but the talent that Ohio State faces on a weekly basis compared to the talent that the Raiders are going to face on a weekly basis, when you compare teams, obviously Ohio State has a lot bigger of an advantage. And what I'm concerned about is the Chip Kelly offense is a little bit gimmicky right now, and there's not enough plays designed to get the ball out quickly. So I don't mind the idea of trying to hurry it up to the line a little bit, but I think the other problem with this is you got a brand new quarterback, got a brand new offensive coordinator, got a brand new system. There's a lot of brand new pieces, and yes, there's less time for it to underperform, but that's also less time for them to get ready, and they're already not doing their job well. Like, if the Raiders were doing jobs well, I'd say let's try to speed it up a little bit. My concern is that you might make it worse. Let's go to Rebel Montana. Tuck rule that we're getting, I think you're talking about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So kind of a weird story. He was just released by the Houston Texans. And, I was just going to say, Chugs, if you want to talk about this story a little bit more, because it's a weird situation. They gave him money. He's been playing. It sounds like he's not happy about his current role. There's, rumors that he was calling out coaches, that there was rumors that he was being a real disturbance in that locker room, and there's no doubt that he's talented, but I also think we got to look at how many times that player has been traded. And, when you sit back and you look, is it a NFL problem, like a team problem, or is it a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson problem, right? If you knew somebody that was married 5 or 6 times, is it every single relation? Is it that other person, or is it Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? And I think right now it's a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson issue, and I will talk about him in my NFL free agents video that I do, but at the exact same time, do you want to bring in somebody that is clearly a issue in the locker room?
So from the reports that I've read, the reports that I've done, the people that I've talked to, basically C.J. Gardner-Johnson has been with winning organizations for the past 3 years.
Yep.
He faced adversity with the Texans. They're 0-3.
Yep.
And it turned into it was everybody else's fault. Now, the Texans lost week 3 up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and one of the main plays that ended that game was a busted coverage by C.J. Gardner-Johnson that led to a 60-yard pass to Brian Thomas Jr. And from what I'm told, they do film on Mondays.
Yep.
And some things were said were not taken well by him as a veteran. And the fingers started being pointed every other direction, and even a report that he complained about other people's salary in the secondary, other people's contracts, and how much they were getting paid.
This is also where the Texans, they just gave him, gave him a signing bonus.
Yeah, so he had basically his salary this year per game was $7 million. They basically converted that into a bonus and gave him the money up front instead of it being a by-game check that they gave him, parsed out between 17 games. They said, we'll give you the money up front.
And then that still wasn't good enough. Like, imagine us as Raider fans here, because I knew I was going to get this question. And imagine as a Raiders fan, you pay a player. Like, how about this? Imagine the Amari Cooper situation, right? Imagine the Amari Cooper situation where Amari's not happy with the amount of money he's getting. And the Raiders are like, all right, Amari, I'm going to give you all your money up front as a signing bonus to make sure that you're happy and taken care of. And then a few days later, he goes, I'm not happy being here. Deuces, I want out. Like, to me, that is a major, major, major problem. And, when you think about good organizations, like I always give my kudos to Howie Roseman, right? That team won the Super Bowl, and they decided to trade him away for obvious reasons. There's no doubt that he's talented, but when you have multiple good organizations decide to move on from somebody, you got to sit back and you got to wonder, like, is that somebody that we personally want to bring into this locker room? I don't know the answer. Would he help out this secondary? Without question. Would he help out probably almost every secondary in the NFL? Probably without question, right? He's no doubt a third safety on a team, on every NFL team, I would say. But that has to be a concern if he continues to be a locker room issue over and over and over again. Let's go to Richard Black. You're next up here on the show. Love to win the helmet. Checking to see when you think I am going to get my Genty jersey from the draft. Thanks. Richard, if I had to guess, probably in a month. I don't handle any of the shipping.
There also was some issues with the Genty jersey. I know it was sold out for a time for certain sizes.
Yeah, like Richard, honestly, I don't remember what size you asked for. I know I've already messaged you though multiple times on Venmo, so I encourage you to check that out. But you will get your jersey, and like I said, you're probably one of the only people that hasn't gotten one yet. It's just some of the orders got a little bit confused when we put in an order for probably. It was like 35 jerseys, and they had 1 or 2 that are wrong. So I would say probably in the next month you'll get it. Let's go to Blinky. Thank you for your work, Mitch. Doing leagues better than Brennan Carroll. I think we'll go 4-13 again. Please prove me wrong. Fire Brennan Carroll. I don't think that this team is a 4-13 team. Are they showing me areas of concern? Yeah, no doubt about it. But I also think that they are showing clear learning pains, and they're showing growth pains. And you see that sometimes with teams that have the amount of turnover that we have on the offensive side of the football, on the defensive side of the football. Brand new, OC. There's just a lot of different moving parts. Like, this team is much better than last season. I'll say it. Like, is the Raiders defense last year better than the Raiders defense this year? No doubt. But this Raiders offense is more talented. The problem right now holding us back is the offensive line. And I literally mean it. What's so frustrating about the whole thing, what Pete Carroll said yesterday, and what's so frustrating about what the Raiders are dealing with right now is, to me, like, they're making a problem that doesn't need to be made a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, they are choosing to make the offensive line a bigger issue than what it is. No matter what, we knew the offensive line was going to be an issue. And instead of taking and building on what the Raiders did last season, which clearly showed that if you put JPJ at center, it's going to go in the right direction. I think right now you got some coaches' egos that are in the way. And I'll tell you this right now. I got an interesting message on Instagram today, this morning, and I'm going to do everything in my power to take some deeper dives. I've been throwing out text messages. I've been DMing agents. I've been messaging a lot of people. I'll say this. I think there is more to the Jackson Powers Johnson story than we know. And I'll leave it like that because I want to be able to do a little bit more homework. And I'm not ever going to tell people I'm not a beat reporter. I'm not trying to be an insider. I am a Raider fan like each and every one of y'all out there that when I get information that I'm like, oh, wow, that's really interesting, I am going to share it. I don't really want to throw people underneath the bus. I don't mean to put people in a bad situation. But I am sitting up here as a Raiders fan wondering, is our coaching staff either dumb or too stubborn to put JPJ at center? Because I don't think that there's any of those other two options. And if they are too dumb and too stubborn, that's a major issue, Pete. I'm just telling you, man, it's a major issue. Now, if there's something else behind the scenes that we don't know about, well, I would at least like to know that information. And I'm telling you this week, I am going to do everything in my power. I'm digging. I'm messaging. I'm trying to reach out to some people, and I will do everything in my power to get to the bottom of this JPJ story.
Nothing to do with anything that we're talking about at all.
Yeah.
Did you see the news that just went across?
No.
Oklahoma quarterback John Mateer, surgery, will be out indefinitely.
Oh, my goodness. Really?
Oklahoma quarterback John Mateer,
is Sam all right?
Can somebody do a wellness check on our Oklahoma Sooners fan, Sam?
I mean, that's devastating because, honestly, I was really looking forward to seeing Oklahoma-Texas game.
Not from any insider, straight from Oklahoma football.
I mean, that's craziness, man. That is crazy news.
Not more than likely, we'll miss the Red River rivalry between Oklahoma and Texas. And, of course,
I'm sick to my stomach.
Of course, as you can imagine, Coop is taking this very gracefully.
Yeah, I'm sure he's really upset about it. Let's go to Giuseppe. What up, Joe? Confidence level against the Bears at the – what's ATP? At the present?
At this point.
At this point. I would say my confidence level right now is a 4 out of 10. And it's a 4 out of 10 because I don't know how it can be anything higher, right? Like, I know the Bears are 1-2. They looked pretty damn good, though, up against the Dallas Cowboys. I know the Raiders can beat Chicago. I also know the Bears can beat the Las Vegas Raiders, right? And I kind of think that both the Bears and the Raiders are almost kind of like the same team right now. You got brand new regimes coming in. There's been a lot of ups and downs already in these first 3 weeks. But if you don't win in the trenches, you're just not going to be able to win football games. And what I'm concerned about is the Chicago Bears offensive line is starting to gel a little bit more, and I'm worried that we're not going to be able to generate pressure, and Caleb Williams has done a good job throwing the football down the field. In our secondary, especially the safeties and, protecting against the deep ball, we've had a lot of issues in that regard. In terms on the offensive side of the football, I think that we're going to be able to put up some points. I think we're going to be able to move the football on the Bears. They are statistically one of the worst defensive teams, though. They did have a nice bounce-back game this past week against the Dallas Cowboys. But, until I see the Raiders show me that they give a shit, and I mean that from a coaching standpoint and from a player standpoint, it's really hard for me to sit up here and have a lot of confidence in them. And it's why I said earlier in the week, I can't blame Raiders fans for not wanting to go watch this team. Because right now this coaching staff is telling me that they don't know their players all that well. And right now the product on the field, it's bad on all three levels, right? The product is bad, offense, defense, and special teams. Can we get it turned around? Yeah, absolutely, right? And I'm hoping, we're all hoping here, that the Raiders could find a way to get this thing turned around and, move it in the right direction. But overall, confidence can't be very high. But I also think if you were to ask some Bears fans, their probably confidence level isn't all that high either, because I think Bears fans, from my time working here at Chat Sports, and Raiders fans are two of the most diehard fan bases that go to the end of the world and back for their team. The problem is their team doesn't show up all that often. So we'll see. I don't have a lot of confidence in Caleb Williams. I don't have a lot of confidence in the Bears. I also don't have a lot of confidence in the Raiders. We got 750 people here in the building. If you haven't already, make sure you guys click that like button. I see some people saying, what about Richie Incognito? Yeah, I hit up Richie yesterday, and it's funny because a few weeks ago, Richie hit me up and was just like, hey, I love the show, appreciate the content that you do. You're a hardworking guy, which anytime, you hear that from somebody that's played in the NFL, no doubt, it's a good feeling, right? Because I know this. I know that I'm a hardworking guy. I know that this channel that we've been building here is pretty flippin' sick, and I also know that a lot of Raiders players watch the show on a weekly basis. I don't know daily, but I do know weekly. So we did get a few more super chats here, and if you don't know the deals here on today's program, $5 super chat gets you in for an Ashton Genty signed helmet. $20 Venmo gets you in the duck race, which right now I see Justine Gonzalez and Fabian Moreno are the two people that are in this duck race. Then we're doing $50 banks today, and if you plan on showing up on Thursday night, I'll just say it like this. It's going to be a lot more fun if we hit our goal today. But no matter what, we're going to be answering questions today. If you want to get up on show, the only way to 100% guarantee it is to send in that super chat. We will answer those questions. I got 3 segments, though, on tap for each and every one of y'all out there. Tree, or maybe I should say Trey, because Trey Tucker was an absolute dog this past week. 3 flipping touchdowns. He's already got 4 on the season. What up, Tony? Maybe the Raiders just aren't talented enough. I mean, I'm not going to totally disagree with that statement, right? To me, I look at this Raiders team and I go, well, we didn't really do anything to the offensive line. That's a problem. Did we get better at running back? Yes. Did we get better at quarterback? Yes. Did we get better at wide receiver? Honestly, I think we did. I honestly think that we did. Did we get better at tight end? Honestly, I think we did. Having Bowers and Mayer and having both of those guys, I know Mayer's a concussion protocol. He's probably not going to play this week. That's my gut feeling. I'm not saying that I was told anything about that. It's just my gut feeling. It's hard to pass a concussion protocol. But with, Bowers and Mayer, I would say that our tight end room is better with those two guys compared to what we had last season. At defensive end, I don't think we got better. I think we got worse. Defensive tackle, I think we got worse. Linebacker, it's kind of hard to say. Robert Spillane, I don't know if you guys have been following the NFL. Robert Spillane's been one of the NFL's worst linebackers this season for the New England Patriots. He had a good game this past week, but I think our linebacker room is kind of right there where it was last season. Yeah, it's very split up in the air. Our safeties, I'll say, are worse. Our corners, probably going to say worse here. And, our defense, no doubt, on paper, is definitely not as talented. But what you can't say also is, we had money, we had draft picks, we decided to not address a lot of those needs, and some of this just kind of overwhelming frustration from Raider fans are, we knew we were going to have offensive line issues. You decided to do nothing about it. We knew we were going to have issues in the secondary. You decided to do nothing about it. We knew that we were going to have issues getting after the quarterback. You decided to do nothing about it. So, that's where I sit up here and I say, I honestly think that I know the players on our team better than the coaches do. And that's a shitty thing to say because I'm not there. But I think actions speak louder than words, and the actions are that we know this team better than the coaches do. What up, Mr. Awesome? JPJ was not good last year. Please watch tape. I mean, I don't know how you say that, Mr. Awesome. I respectfully am going to disagree. I think a lot of the numbers proved otherwise. So the run game wasn't good. Unlike James came back at the end of the season, JPJ was lost and his teammates left his teammates out dry. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're trolling here. I mean, this is just completely not true and it's completely false. So I appreciate the super chat. I appreciate the money that you sent in. I would encourage you to watch the video that I put out yesterday, and I would encourage you to, wherever you're watching your tape from, oh my God, what is that picture in Slack? Holy shit, dude. Oh my God. Oh, our Slack channel somebody dropped the most insane photo. in our Slack channel, and I think it's going to be the #1 most liked photo in the history of Chat Sports Slack. But yeah, Mr. Awesome, I would encourage you maybe to watch this show a little bit more, because I don't know where you're getting your info from, but it doesn't seem like it's very good info. Let's go to Richard Black. Put me down for another one. Thanks for the info on the jersey. I got you, Richard. And I don't blame you or anybody if you're like, hey, I'm waiting on a jersey. It's been a long time. I totally get that it's been a long time. I think also, again, Genty was probably the #1 jersey that was being sold this offseason, besides Max Crosby. And when we just put in so many orders, maybe it was on us to not think that any of them would be effed up a little bit. So I just sent out jerseys the other day to Cass Joey from the draft because we couldn't get the exact size that we were looking for his son, because his son wanted a toddler jersey essentially. But I promise you this, man. I promise you. I will never do anybody dirty. Sometimes mistakes happen. We're still a small-ish company, and we're always going to do our best to provide you guys the best content that we can. But if you ever feel a type of way, anybody here in the chat, and I mean it, like, you're not going to upset me, right? Like, you would talk to your parents, you would talk to your kids, you would talk to your significant other if something was on your mind. We're family here, man. So you're never going to upset me. Let's go to this question here, and I want to know from all of y'all, should the Raiders sign a free agent? Yes or no? To me, I think of this question is, do you think that there are areas where the Raiders can improve? That's how, honestly, that's how I think of this question. And I'm not saying will they. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying should they. If you were in a room with Pete Carroll and John Spytek, because I look at this question and I go, it should be yes or duh. Because I think that we can improve in so many areas on this team. And, you might not be able to find a starter.
Still need a running back.
Stop it. You might not be able to find, a true impact player at this point, though. To me, I think that there are, at minimum, 3 starters that we could add, which is why I actually decided to do this show today, because, I was sitting back here and the amount of people are like, should we go out and get this guy? Is there a player that could upgrade our O-line? Is there a player that could help us in the secondary? I'm going to give you guys an updated top 10. I'll say this. The player that's at #1, Chugs literally was like, are you sure he should be #1? Number 2 thing I'll say, the top 10 list that you're about to see is not going to have the player at #1. I actually don't think anybody here is going to guess who it is. I'll be honest with you. I don't think anybody here is going to guess who the #1 player is in my free agent market. But, let's look down at the comment section here, right? There are 800 Raiders fans watching this show. I don't know how often, right? I think if you put 100 people in a room, it's very rarely that all 100 out of those people are going to agree on probably anything. It's probably even less like if you put 100 Raiders fans in a room and try to get them to agree on everything, right? My point is, I'm looking down in the comment section right now, and I haven't seen a single no.
If you ran for president on a platform that the Raiders should sign a free agent, you'd win at this point.
Oh, dude, you're in, right? That's all you need to do. I know that the Raiders need help, and what I just don't want to see this team do is, I was very proud of the Raiders, their second half adjustment that they were able to make on the defensive side of the football in their first 2 games. What our concern in that Week 3 game is no adjustments were made. And Pete Carroll said something yesterday, and I don't remember the exact quote, but it was along the lines of we have what we have, we got to make the best of it. No, you don't. You as a head coach can actually change it, which it's the craziest thing ever, right? My #1 pet peeve when I hear coaches say, oh, I really want to be able to get this guy involved more. Here's what's insane. You have the ability to get that guy involved more. So hearing Pete say the things that he did, maybe he just doesn't know some of the free agents are out there. I know he's an older gentleman, 74. Maybe he doesn't know how to use the internet. But at the same time, this Raiders team can improve. And it can improve in free agency. And if we're a team that's actually trying to win football games this season, and if we are a football team that is trying to have commitment to excellence, I hope that they see this video about my top 10 free agent targets, because it's clear. Everybody here is saying that we need to add somebody. Also, we got 812 people here. I want to get more likes on this video, and I'm going to ask you guys over and over and over again. I'll make you a deal. If we can get to 500 likes in the next 2 minutes, I won't ask you to hit that like button the rest of the show. A lot of times I'm always like, people are like, oh, Mitch, you hit the like button too often. You ask people to comment too often. You ask people to subscribe too often. I'm not going to totally disagree with those statements, but I do it because, one, I want you guys to do all those things because it helps me out. And imagine this, right? Imagine if you told somebody something one time and they did it right away. Imagine if you told your kids to clean their bedroom and the moment you came back, the room was clean, right? I'm not trying to say y'all are my kids, but I'm trying to say, like, the amount of times that Alex looks at me and she goes, can you please put your dirty clothes in the hamper? Imagine if I put my clothes in the dirty hamper first time every single time, right? Imagine if when I looked at Alex, can you please put the dishes in the dishwasher? Imagine if she did that the first time every single time. I joke, I kid, I'm also serious. It does help out this program a lot. Coming up next here on the show, I want to be able to get in to some of the changes that I personally believe need to happen. Oh my goodness. Changes that need to happen for the Las Vegas Raiders. I did just see Victor Lobos decided to get it in for the duck race. What up, what up, what up? Blinky! I see it, bro. I'll tell you what, Blinky, I swear to God, I almost talked about coaches that the Raiders could add. The problem is, though, we already have a coach on our team that proved last season that he can get the most out of this current offensive line group, right? Like, it's not like we have players that weren't on the offensive line last season. We actually have a guy on our team that would do better than Brennan Carroll, and I don't think that anybody really would disagree with that. Any guards from practice squad? How about Cole Strange? I'm going to talk about free agents today. You know, I thought about adding practice squad players as well, but today I'm just going to talk about free agents. Cole Strange, I don't think is a bad idea. To me, though, there is a better player that is available on the open market. To me, I think there's a few players that are better on the open market. All right, y'all. You guys are wild.
Did you see what I put in?
Yeah, I mean, our Slack message right now. I'm not mad that I'm live right now being able to talk to y'all, but I'm having some serious FOMO because the Chat Sports Slack it might be at an all-time high right now. It might be at an all-time high. Oh, man, oh, man. All right, y'all. Let's go to the very first segment here on today's program. And to me, I think everybody can learn. I can learn every single day. Y'all can learn something new every single day. And I'm hoping that Pete Carroll learned something today because there was a move that happened in the NFL that I really, truly believe. I hope that the Raiders learn from it. That's all I'm going to say. You ready to rock?
I'm ready.
Chuggy Bowl almost ready to rock. If Jason Kelce came back, I mean, if he came back, it wouldn't be for the Raiders. I promise you that. If Jason Kelce tried to come back in the NFL, I promise you it would not be for the Raiders.
You don't think so?
I think the only team he would come back to play for, obviously only two teams, Eagles, Chiefs. I can't imagine he would come back for another team. I saw the super chat come in there from Raiders Wang. I will get to that one, brother, after this segment because we got everything ready to rock and roll. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, y'all. We got Panda, just so you know, on all of them today. Okay, sounds good. All right, let's talk about the Raiders and something that I want Pete Carroll to learn about. I'm trying to get to 204,000 subscribers. We need 239 more to do it. Some of you might be going, Mitch, why would I hit the subscribe button? Free daily Raiders videos every single day, and did I mention that it's free? Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's program, there's some NFL news that I believe Pete Carroll and the Las Vegas Raiders could learn from. I'm not sitting up here trying to teach Pete anything. Pete is obviously a very well-respected head coach, but I think somebody who is a professor always wants to teach the ability to learn and get better. And I think today, Pete Carroll has an opportunity to see what happened in the NFL and go, I can learn from it, and it's something that I hope that we apply going forward. And one of the things that I'm going to talk about is a change that happened in the NFL. So at the very end of today's program, to me, I have 5 changes that the Las Vegas Raiders need to make before their Week 4 game against the Chicago Bears if they're actually trying to win, if they're actually trying to show commitment to excellence. If you didn't see the big NFL news today, I would say this is the number one story around the league. The New York Giants made a change at the quarterback position. They are starting Jackson Dart, and they decided to bench Russell Wilson. Now, some of you might be going, well, how does that imply to us? We're not going to make a quarterback change. I want to be very clear. I'm not saying put in Kenny Pickett. Obviously, I'm not saying put in Nathan O'Connell. Gino is our guy. But to me, this is what this proves. The Giants switching quarterbacks is best for them now, and I think it's best for their future. If the Raiders were to put Jackson Powers Johnson at center, it would be best for the Raiders now and in the future. I also understand when people put together a plan. I mean, think about how many times this offseason I talked about plans. John Spytek's plan, Pete Carroll's plan, the Raiders' long-term plan. What I don't want to see the Raiders do is come up with this plan that they have. And clearly the plan was to have Jordan Meredith at center and play Jackson Powers Johnson at guard. My problem with that plan is it's a shit plan. And that plan we've already seen has been a major, major, major failure. So what I want to see these coaches do is learn from their mistakes, learn that their plan wasn't good, and be able to come up with a brand new plan, because that's what smart organizations, that's what smart businesses, that's what smart football teams end up doing. And Pete Carroll, he had this to say on September 22nd, and I'm a little bit nervous about it. We want to see Jackson Powers Johnson come back to action and get back involved in all phases of it. We got to get off the football better and make more of the running game. There's not enough happening there to act on the play, pass game, and we're just not getting enough. So we just got to keep working on it. We got the guys we got, and we need to keep developing and keep building on it. Pete also had this to say. We're working at the right guard spot in terms of Jackson. Our young guys, they'll get their turn sometime, but they're not ready yet. So we have what we have, and we got to make our guys do better. We got to fit it together better than what we have. So, to me, I hear Pete Carroll saying that, and he's saying, Caleb Rogers, Charles Grant, those two guys aren't ready yet. Okay? To me, if Charles Grant and Caleb Rogers are literally worse than what we've putting out there on the field, that's obviously concerning to me. But also, I don't know why the Raiders are just so stuck and gung-ho on keeping JPJ at guard, because to me, I would look at last season. When the Raiders put JPJ at center, they were just clearly a better offensive line. All the advanced metrics show that. From the moment JPJ took over at center, the Raiders were ranked 7th best in pass protection and then 16th in run block. I would give up my left nut to be able to have those numbers for this offensive line, because we'd actually be able to move the football. So when I heard Pete Carroll said that, I was like, all right, the good news here is Pete agrees that he wants to see him out there on the field. He wants to see him as a starter. But I'm also like, Pete, what drives me nuts sometimes that coaches say is they're like, oh, I want to see that happen. Well, then freaking do it. You're the head coach. And I get that you might not be the one controlling the offensive line, but your kid is, and he's clearly not doing a very good job at it. The bad news is the Raiders are so clearly not trying to put him at center, so much to the fact of I have been DMing, I have been messaging, I have been clawing, I am searching around. I think that there is a much bigger story to why the Raiders aren't playing JPJ at center, to why the Raiders are just so gung-ho on putting Alex Kappa in over Jackson Powers Johnson. I am determined, and I will find out that there is going to be a bigger story behind this, because I just don't believe that our coaching staff is this stubborn and this dumb not to put him at center. And if you like stats, I saw somebody earlier on the show was saying, oh, JPJ is not a good center. You want some numbers? Here you go. In 2024, when the Raiders ran behind Jordan Meredith at left guard, 4.42 yards per carry. This season, running behind Meredith at center, 2.17 yards per carry. Last season, running behind JPJ at center, 4.28 yards per carry. This season, running them behind a right guard. I get it was only one game, 3.75 yards. We have the same pieces. It's not rocket science. To me, if it's not broken, you don't fix it. And if what you did try to fix ends up being broken, wouldn't you try to fix it to back to the way where it was actually working instead of just still trying to roll with your idea? I am concerned, and one of the reasons why I want the Raiders to learn from this is because right now it seems like an ego trip. Right now it seems like the Raiders are more concerned about being right, that Brendan Carroll and Pete are more concerned about being right than actually doing what is right. So I want to know from all of y'all, it's going to be the pinned comment here on today's program, and I'm going to give you my answer to why JPJ isn't starting at center. I have 3 areas that I think that this is it. But before I give you my answers, you're about to get it with the YouTube ad break. Scroll on down and answer this, because what the heck? I think we're all wondering, why isn't JPJ starting at center? My 3 best guesses to why Jackson Powers Johnson isn't starting at center, it is a Brennan Carroll / coach's ego trip. They thought that they could put him at right guard. They thought Jordan Meredith would be better at center. And instead of being able to admit their faults, they're saying, no, I'm going to keep doing this until I am right, or I'm just going to be wrong. The staff, maybe that doesn't like Jackson Powers Johnson. I'll be honest. I got a text message today, or I should say an Instagram DM, that indicated that there was somebody that was told that JPJ and this coaching staff haven't been getting along for months. I got that message, and I have gone on now and even more of a deep dive. I'm not going to sit up here and say the source that told me that is a credible source. With all due respect, you know who you are, but I'm going to do a little bit more digging and homework to finding out. My other reason why is maybe these coaches just don't know the players well enough on the roster, which obviously is very, very concerning considering the fact that this has been something that they've been trying to figure out all the way back in May, all the way back in June, all the way back in July. And Pete mentioned a word about continuity. Why would you ruin the continuity that we had last season that clearly showed improvement with Joe Philbin just because your kid wants to come in and put his own stamp on it? Right now, the Brennan Carroll stamp looks a lot like a tramp stamp, and quite frankly, I'm trying to remove it. Coming up next here on the show, I got 5 changes that I want to see the Raiders make before the Bears game. Spoiler alert, you're already going to know one of them that's about to happen here on this program. But I do want to give a shout out to today's sponsor, Panda Sups. You see this QR code right here? If you want to hook up, if you're trying to get set up with my plug, use code Raiders, scan that QR code. You're going to be able to save 25% off at pandasups.com. I'll be honest, I don't know where that QR code leads, but I think it leads to some good stuff. Maybe it leads to some protein. Maybe it leads to a little bit of pre-workout. I'll tell you this, where I really need it to lead is some focus and some super nootropic. And I say that jokingly because, you know, we had a lot of people watching our Monday Night Football show yesterday, and, you know, shout out to I think we had close to 120,000 people with us yesterday on Monday Night Football, and I got a super chat from Bayou Raiders. Shout out to you, Bayou. I remember it, and you're like, hey, man, burnout is real. Believe me, I know burnout's real, but here's the thing. I got an engine, right? And I'm going to be that guy that's got that Max Crosby mentality where I'm always going to try to get 1% better. The Focus Nootropic kind of helps get my engine going, and it helps wake up my mind a little bit. And to me, when you're as busy as what I am, you got to find what works for you, and then you got to keep on rocking with it. Like the products that work really well for me, I love their protein. I love their BCAAs. I love their creatine. I've used their nootropic. My wife is obsessed with their greens, their superfoods, and she's obsessed with their fat burner. It's called a thermogenic. Bottom line, I want you to find what works best for you, because what works best for you might not work best for me. What tastes good to Chugs and their protein, maybe you don't like it all that much. But I'm telling you this, I have met a lot of Raiders fans, and I bet if you look down in the live chat right now, I bet if you go down in the comment section, you'll see how many Raiders fans have gotten Panda Subs and truly, truly use it every single day. Coming up next here on the show, let's get into 5 changes that the Raiders need to make before the Bears game. Coming in here at number 1, and I've already illustrated all the reasons. I just wanted to be able to put it up here one more time in case my message hasn't been loud enough. JPJ needs to start. But not only does he need to start, he needs to start at center. I've been posting on Twitter. I've been posting on Instagram. Every time that I see the Raiders post anything, unless it's like, you know, in regards to a player or in regards to, I don't know, if it's just a post, I'm basically putting fire Brennan Carroll, start JPJ at center. And if you see me doing it, keep liking it, keep retweeting. I think it's the only way our message is going to get across. Next thing that I want to see the Raiders do, get the ball out quicker. Because to me, Gino's hanging on to the ball too long, but he's hanging on to the ball too long because the plays Chip's developing are taking too long to develop. Our offensive line's not good enough to block. And I saw this stat from my guy Sanjit. And again, Sanjit to me is the best in the biz. If you're looking for offensive line breakdown, you know, don't get me wrong. I want you guys to subscribe to me. I want you guys to support me. But I also think real recognize real. And Sanjit with the offensive line, with everything going on right now with the O-line, I watch Sanjit all the time. And why? Because I'm trying to be a smarter Raider fan myself. And so I saw this stat from him that said the Raiders ranked first in average time to throw at 3.30 seconds. That actually surprised me a little bit. I think it also kind of shows how wonky NFL stats can be. So that tells me, Chip Kelly, you got to drive up some plays to get the ball out quicker. That tells me, Geno Smith, you need to be able to find receivers to get the ball out quicker. But then you also got this. The Raiders also rank first in most pressures under 3 seconds at 39. So, like, Geno's trying to buy time. Geno's trying to look for the open man. What I think needs to happen, and I said this yesterday, Brennan Carroll and Chip Kelly need to get on the same flipping page because they're clearly not on the same page. Let's get our offensive team in check. Let's get our offensive staff in check. I don't know what the hell we're doing during the week because the 2 games we've had a week to prepare, the Chargers and the Commanders, we have been absolute dog shit, and it can't happen anymore because I'm not falling to 1-3. Let's go to the next thing that I want to see the Raiders change. More snaps for Tyree Wilson. And I want to see more snaps for Tyree Wilson at defensive tackle. Like, what I don't understand here is Wilson had a great offseason. He did. By every account, by every player that I talked to, by the agent that I talked to for Tyree, from talking to Tyree himself, from my eyeballs seeing it out on the preseason field, like, I know Tyree Wilson is a good defensive tackle. He obviously struggles as a defensive end because he doesn't have, I think, that ability to get off the football. But I'm looking right now at how the Raiders are using him, and it's another fact of, does our coaching staff not know how to properly use Tyree Wilson? And I'm not taking a shot at Rob Leonard because I think Rob Leonard is one of the best in the biz. I really, truly believe that. But he played a total of 74 snaps this season. That's 42%. If you look at his snaps by week, the game that he played the most in was week 1. Week 2, he played 14 snaps. Week 3, he played 22. I would say the game where I was the most proud of this Raiders football team was week 1 against the New England Patriots. And the way that they used him a little bit more as a defensive tackle. But when you look at his snap breakdown, when you look at his usage right now with the Raiders, they're using him as more as a defensive end than as a defensive tackle. That's just you not knowing your players. That's you not using your players correctly. And when I look at this staff right now, the amount of players that they are just not using in the correct way, it does, man. It concerns me. So let's use Tyree Wilson as a defensive tackle because I actually think that would really help us lock in our run defense game. A run defense team that just gave up over 200 yards this past week to the Washington Commanders. The next thing that I want to see, and this one absolutely pains me, Malcolm Koonce has to play less because he is such a liability out there on the field right now. Like, I'm not kidding you when I say this. He might be the worst defensive end we have on this roster. And when the Raiders signed him to that 1-year, $12 million deal, I was jumping for joy. And if anybody wants to hit me with, oh, Mitch, it's only been 3 games, you haven't been paying attention all offseason. Because there was no chatter, and I mean no chatter at all, around number 51, and it's probably because he wasn't 100% ready to rock. This season, he's played 81 snaps. That's 43%. He is the worst defensive end right now in the NFL, according to PFF, with a 37.7 grade. There's also certain qualifiers that you have to hit based on snaps, but right now there's 116 players that qualify for PFF grades. He is ranked 116. He only, in my book, you can only put him out there on the field anymore on 3rd down. You can only put him out there in absolute passing situations. The problem is, you kind of saw it this past week, he seems like a kid that just got a brand new toy and he doesn't know exactly how to play with that toy, and when he goes out there on the field, he's reckless. He's just grabbing face masks. I want Malcolm to be better, but at the same time, I'm also man enough to be able to sit up here and go, the Raiders re-signing Malcolm Koonce looks like a disaster, and instead of being too much of a proud boy and saying, hey, we got to keep playing him over and over and over and over again, well, why don't we sit him down a little bit, figure out what's really happening, because what's happening right now is you put him out on the field and teams are going at him. Why? Because he's just really flipping bad right now, and he has no ability to get to the quarterback. Let's go then to the final one here. And it's change Isaiah Paul-Mal's role. What I was really concerned about with the Raiders this offseason with Paul Mal, and I said it probably 100 times, he's not a free safety. He's not. But you're playing him like a free safety. He is a box safety. He is a strong safety. And you're turning a player that showed tremendous growth his first few years in the NFL, from being a UDFA, he was a player that got better and got better and got better. And his regression this season is so staggering, and it's just obvious. You're just not using him correctly. Right now, Isaiah Pola-Mao is the worst safety in the National Football League with a PFF grade of 29.9, 76 out of 76. He's getting absolutely torched in coverage, but it's because you, the coaches, aren't using him the correct way. It's because you, the coaches, decided not to go out and add a true free safety, and now you're asking a young player that got better and better and better and better to not do what he's really good at, and you're asking him to do something that he's not good at. Like, it kind of reminds me of a baseball team, and you got a number 7 hitter, you got an 8 hitter, you got a 9 hitter, and that 7, 8, 9 hitter's batting 300. And instead of you asking them to continue to bat for average and try to get on base, you're like, no, I want you to try to become a power hitter. We're going to put you up in the lineup at number 2, and from going from 300, now they're batting 200. Like, I love the player that Isaiah Pola-Mao is, and I actually feel bad the amount of times I've ripped on him this season because I know they're not using him correctly. They're just not. They are not using him correctly, and I am asking, I'm begging. Raider fans out there, I think, are begging. Can we start using him effectively? But the only way that we can use him, the way that we need to be able to use him, is if we get a true free safety. The problem is this coaching staff right now seems a little bit too stubborn to go out there and add a true free safety. For those of you that are watching this live, I'm going to talk about free agent targets today. For those of you that aren't watching this live, you're going to get Raiders free agent targets going out tomorrow on the Raiders Report, so make sure you're subscribed. But those are the 5 changes that I would make. Okay, and again, the reason why I did this video is because the Giants' plan was to let Jackson Dart learn behind Russell Wilson. They crumbled up that plan, and they decided, let's do what's best for us now and in the future. To me, the Raiders need to learn from that and go, all right, I know that was the plan. The plan's not working. Let's deviate from it a little bit, and let's get a plan that gets us on track. So I want to know from you, what's one change the Raiders need to make? Just one change. If you want to put JPJ, I think that's the most obvious one. If you're going to put JPJ, I'm going to challenge you to give me another one. Give me another change, because I think 90% of the people here are going to put JPJ at starting center. Now, if you don't know my live schedule this week, I am going to be live Thursday Night Football, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific. Then, week 4, we're actually going to go live an hour 25 before the start of this game, and we're doing that because our Bears channel is also going live at this time, and I was like, all right, let's battle, because these are 2 of the biggest channels we have at Chat Sports, and we're going to be battling on Sunday, 2 1-2 teams. Then on Monday, I'm going to be live at this time on the Raiders Report, and then for Monday Night Football down here at this time. Though there is a possibility that we go live at like 7:15 Eastern, which is technically 1 hour before Monday Night Football coverage. My bottom line is this, though. Raiders, win, lose, or tie, I'm always going to be here. I'm always going to rock with you. And I personally think there's a reason why we have gotten now more views than we ever have on our live shows. It's because Raider Nation knows the live program here at Chat Sports is the #1 place to be for any game day. Let's go to Mr. Awesome. What up, man? I've been watching every day for years. You give us your opinion on JPJ, not facts. Watch the 2024 game, not the PFF rankings. I mean, I just gave you the stats, man. How about this? You give me stats that prove that JPJ is not a good center or wasn't a good center. Give me that, because the tape shows me that he's one of the best young centers in the NFL. The tape shows me that the Raiders got significantly better. The stats show me that the Raiders got significantly better. So, like, again, I know that I always give my opinion, and I want you guys to be able to give your opinion. But you're sitting up here doing the exact same thing that I'm doing, and I just provided a bunch of stats that prove that JPJ is a good center. And if that's not good enough, how about this? You show me what you're looking at, and then we'll put it up here on screen, and we can debate it, because I don't think that – I'll say this. I think more people think that JPJ is a good center than not a good center. I'll tell you that right now. Let's go to Stabler for president. What's up, man? Sanjeet says Meredith and Parham are too small to stand up to some of those monsters on opposing defensive lines. What says you? I mean, Meredith is too small to play center. I've been saying that from the jump. The only reason why I was okay with Meredith playing guard, in my mind, was because, yes, he is undersized. But if you go back and you watch my videos early in the offseason, I said if I was the Raiders offensive line coach, I would put Jordan Meredith at left guard. Number one reason, he is showing you that he can do it. But I also think you can't just look at player at that position. The offensive line, you got to look as in a cohesive unit. And if you want to put Meredith at left guard, I'm confident in doing that because Colton Miller is a stud on one side, and that's going to be able to help Jordan Meredith out. And then also at center, you have Jackson Powers-Johnson, who's able to deliver a lot of that pop, who's able to get that push, which then allows Meredith to do what he's good at, which is kind of like understand where blitz concepts are coming, and he does a good job with his feet. What's happening right now is we're getting beat at the center, right? Imagine if you were to build a wall, and the weak part on that wall is in the middle. I'm not saying he's the weakest link in that, but right now teams are attacking Meredith at center, and it's literally just disrupting the middle of the wall, and it's just disrupting our offensive line. But I would have put Meredith at left guard because I think Meredith is a really good complement piece to Colton Miller, and I think Colton Miller is a great complement piece to Meredith, and I think JPJ is a great complement piece to Meredith as well. So, that's why I would have put him at left guard. For Parham, I had a lot higher hopes for Parham. I really thought he was going to be a lot better of a football player because I think he's a smart player. I don't know if he's just gotten lazy. I don't know what it is, but he has shown significant regression this season, and he's shown, honestly, significant regression over the past, 2 seasons, quite frankly. Do we need to add a little bit bigger body? Yeah, absolutely. And if you're watching this live, I'm going to give you a name today that I actually think could start for the Las Vegas Raiders on that offensive line. Let's go to Blinky. What up, Blink? Can we get a low line coach in free agency? Again, we have Joe Philbin. To me, Joe Philbin proved to me last season, and he's proved to multiple other NFL franchises that he's good enough to be an offensive line coach, and the numbers are clear. When Joe Philbin took over for James Craig last season, the Raiders significantly improved, and the offensive line that Joe Philbin went with was JPJ at center. Now, they moved Andre James around here and there at times, but, you had DJ Glaze, you had Dylan Parham, you had Colton Miller. There was a mix of Jordan Meredith. He played close to, 500 snaps in total. But all those players are players that we have right now. So, I'm just frustrated with the offensive line because we showed improvement. The offensive line showed improvement. Why for yes and for no? Did the Raiders' offensive line last season from James Craig to Joe Philbin, did it show improvement? The answer to that is yes, and it showed improvement with JPJ at center. So you had an offensive line, and again, I'm frustrated because Pete's throwing around the word continuity. Well, you're doing the exact opposite of what you're preaching, and that's just that's concerning to me. Because the offensive line got better and better and better, and it showed improvement. And then instead of working off that, you decided, no, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to put my own twist on it. And instead of being man enough to realize that your plan isn't working, you're just doubling down. And it's more of a pride thing to me. And that's scary because the word pride and the word ego, I really haven't thrown around since Josh McDaniels. But I think we got to be able to face the facts. This coaching staff right now is a little Josh McDaniels-y, and that's concerning to me. It is, right? I still believe in Pete. I still believe in this regime, but I think at the same time, people are going to watch this show because of my honesty, and I also want y'all to be able to hit me with the honesty as well. It's the only way that we're going to improve. It's the only way that we're going to grow as a YouTube channel. It's the only way we're going to grow as a community. I do see some more super chats down below. Slaughterproof. Any guards from the practice squad? How about Cole Strange?
He was on a practice squad, and I believe he got signed by the Miami Dolphins.
I was just going to say, when you said Cole Strange, I was like, why do I remember us making a video here? Not us as Chugs and I, but at Chat Sports. Because, again, we almost have now a team for all 32 teams. So as soon as NFL news happens, we know about it, right? We're working on it. We know about it. We're getting it going. But today, I got some offensive guards that honestly can help out this team. And there's one in particular that I know for a fact could start for this team. Let's go to Raiders. Wang, what's up, brother? This might be a hot take. With a name like Wang, I can't deny anything that you say is not going to be a hot take. But until we get the O-line issues resolved, Bowers needs to sit, if not 100%. There is no reason to risk his career while Geno is getting pressured so quickly and constant.
I disagree with this.
Huh?
I disagree with this.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I do think it's a hot take.
I'm going to have some breaking news for everybody in the chat.
Especially if Michael Mayer's not available.
Breaking news for everybody in the chat from me and Mitch, Mitch has covered the Raiders for, what now, 7 years, 8 years?
It's up there.
I've covered the NFL at a capacity for 5 years. Nobody on the Raiders is 100%. Every single player goes into every week with some sort of injury. A bum ankle, hurt ribs.
I don't think Max has been 100% for 2 years. Like he's 100% this year.
And it's like 100% for Max is probably like, oh, my ankle only hurts a little bit.
Yeah.
Like these guys play through injuries because it's part of the job. And just to be like that, at that point, you might as well say, let's pack it in for the season.
And Bowers is clearly not 100%, right? Like he's clearly not 100%. But I also think at the exact same time, like if he's healthy enough to play, I think you have to put him out there, right? And I think also we're saying that from a fan standpoint. As a player, like if the coaching staff, if the medical team went up to Brock and said, hey, we're not going to play you until you're 100%, that's going to piss Brock off. Like, I'm telling you this right now, he's just such a cool, calm, and collected dude. He's cool as a cucumber. But from a competitive nature, there's a reason why he's the best tight end in the NFL. There's a reason why he was the best player at Georgia for 3 years. Like, he's just such a competitor. Like, you're not going to be able to sit him out. That's like you telling Max, like, hey, you're not going to play today until you're 100% for all these reasons that you gave. Like, I don't think that's fair to Geno. I don't think it's fair to the other players that go out there and battle it out. And I know that the touchdown throw to Bowers where he didn't jump up for the ball, it was clear that he's not 100% healthy. And I kind of gave the example of for somebody who, in my left knee, I tore my ACL, I tore my meniscus, I destroyed my knee. And to get that confidence back, it took a little bit of time. But I also know, like, when I go for a run, when I, like, play sports and stuff, it's really difficult for me mentally to leap on my left. Like, if I'm going to jump up in the air, I don't plant with my left foot and jump in the air. I would be curious if you go back and you watch that Brock Bowers play, if he's running down the field, if when he looks up and that ball's there, if his left leg is down on the ground, I think that is the clear indicator of why he didn't jump up. Because in the NFL and sports, when you're running at such a fast pace, that split second of you second-guessing yourself, I think he second-guessed the confidence that he personally had in that knee to be only that foot on the ground to then jump up for the football. Again, like I don't remember what leg was down, but I remember saying that live on the show. I hear you, but at the same time, if Brock's healthy enough to play, you got to put him out there. I think it's a difference between are you hurt or are you injured? And I think right now he's hurt. He's not injured. Let's go to Tony Williams. What up, man? If you show me this Raiders roster before the year and asked, will this team win 6 games? I would. If this season shocks you, the joke is on you. And, maybe that's the case. I'm just going to disagree because, to me, I look at the NFL a lot of times that you got to look at quarterbacks, you got to look at head coaches. And, you're hoping that with a good quarterback, with a good head coach, that you're able to make improvements and you're able to get better. Maybe I overlooked it a little bit because I saw Pete and Geno never had a losing season, and I was kind of hoping that was going to be able to transpire and that was going to help us move forward. But when you look on paper, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, when you look on paper, I think defensively, this is one of the worst defenses on paper, and yet they've played better than an offense that if you look on paper, that Raiders offense should be doing a lot better. The problem is we're just not winning in the trenches. And for a team, for a GM, for an organization that I heard a lot of trench talk this offseason. Again, I heard a lot of trench talk, and it just didn't happen. And I think, like, right now the Raiders, you can't tell me the Raiders aren't kicking themselves in the ass for not really trying to go out and add to the trenches on both sides of the football.
I was telling you earlier how I was upset about the Texans. Raiders are kind of in the same boat where we were both teams were sitting there in the second round.
Yep.
Had a chance to get Tate Ratledge, the guard for the Lions, who was balling out last night.
That was a blocking clinic. Watching that Monday Night Football game yesterday, it was such a blocking clinic, and it's mind-blowing, quite frankly, how well an offense can look when you just block up front. And it's not rocket science at all. But
we were both getting FOMO watching the Lions O-line yesterday.
Like, Ashton Genty's running for 1,500 yards on that Detroit Lions team.
Oh,
I don't even think that would be tough.
And the thing is, you could have had him. The Raiders could have had him in the second round. I think Tate Ratledge went at pick like 50-something.
Yeah, maybe the Raiders drafted Jack Besh because they weren't sold on Jacoby Myers, but at the same time, then I'm sitting here going, well, that's concerning, right? Because Jacoby's clearly a good player, and I think it's just another example of, does this team, do these coaches know the Raiders roster? I don't know. I really don't know. Stabler for president. Would Tevin Jenkins be an upgrade at right guard or right tackle? I forget what team he's on right now. His biggest problem is just injuries.
Yeah. I think he's on the Seahawks.
I'll say he's definitely on a team. I think
he's on the Browns.
So he's definitely on a team because I know Jenkins was a player that I talked about out of Oklahoma State because I knew somebody that knew him from high school. Really good player. Again, he's had a lot of back issues, but if he's healthy, yeah, I mean, he's proven when he's healthy, he's a really good starting offensive lineman in the NFL. He's not available, right? Like, you'd have to go out and trade for him, and I don't think that the Raiders are going to go out and trade for an offensive lineman. I don't even think that they're going to try to add an offensive lineman based on what Pete Carroll said, but that doesn't mean that we can't try to get him to add one. What up, Dylan? Would you trade Chuba for Genty full PPR league? Oh, boy.
You saved it at the end with the fantasy football.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was like, bro, the answer is no. In a fantasy football league, there's a part of me that still wants to say no because I believe in Genty so much more from a talent perspective than I do Chuba. But also, like, I don't know if they're going to throw him the football. I don't know. Like, what did the Raiders work on all offseason? Because everything that I heard around Genty was, we're trying to get him involved as a pass catcher. We're trying to get him involved, being able to catch the football. And there just needs to be more players that, we get a shot for. Also, some Raiders news that just happened here. The Raiders worked out two players. They worked out defensive back Shamar Bartholomew, and they also worked out, this is unbelievable, linebacker Luke Masterson. Masterson obviously was on the team last season. I mean, he was really bad in coverage. But to me, like, I don't know why they would bring those guys in for a tryout. Maybe they're trying to get them on a practice squad. But for the Raiders to work out, and that's also kind of the frustrating part with this team, is you're working out players. You're bringing in players that really aren't going to help you win any football games this season. You're bringing in guys that you would try to develop, but I'm not trying to develop Bartholomew, and I'm not trying to develop Luke Masterson. You know what, though? This puts a smile on my face. The Night Devil! Bang! 9 more bangs to go. And we're going to start off Thursday Night Football with a boot here on the Raiders Report. What up, Night Devil? Raiders 21, Bears 17, positivity, just putting it out there right now. And, I hope that Raider Nation brings a lot of positivity because I guarantee you this, Sunday morning, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be all positive. I'm going to be Raider fan where, we're hoping that they can get back into the win column because the NFL is a week-to-week league. If the Raiders come out and they beat the Chicago Bears and you're 2-2, you're feeling so much better about this team. So much better about this organization. If you lose again and you go 1-3, you want to talk about a panic meter? I can't even imagine what the panic meter is going to be looking like. But a huge, huge shout out to my man, the Night Devil. Can't wait to try the food on Thursday, man. Can't wait to try the food on Thursday. Speaking of Raiders and Bears, who do y'all think's the better quarterback? Geno Smith, Caleb Williams. Geno Smith this season, 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Caleb Williams this season, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. I think if I would have asked y'all this question after week 1, I think we would have got 100 votes that say Geno Smith. But now, I want to know from you, what are you going to go with? And if you're like, man, I don't want to upset anybody. Again, if you're too worried about, if you typing something upsets somebody that much, it's probably on the other person. Because the only way that this show is going to grow, the only way that we can have honest conversations with ourselves is if you actually put in your truthful answer. So GS for Geno Smith, CW for Caleb Williams. Let me know where you guys stand. As those votes are coming in, I do see a few people getting in the duck race, which I just saw Darth and Richard. You guys are in. So as it stands right now, it is a $20 Venmo. You have an opportunity to win $50 here at the end of today's program.
Shout out to Darth yesterday, an absolute legend. He was
Slaying.
He sent me a really nice belated birthday message to me and my wife. We appreciate you, Darth Fat Ass. It was really nice.
You're like, honey, this is from Darth Fat Ass.
Yeah, I was like, babe, this Raiders fan wants to say, happy belated birthday. He's wishing us like another year of health and happiness. And she was like, oh my God, tell him I said thank you. Who was it? And I go, his name's Darth. She was like, Darth? I was like, well, his full name is Darth Fat Ass.
Yeah, it's his legal name. It's his legal name.
You can call me Darth. Mr. Fat Ass was my father.
That's hilarious. Vic says Caleb Williams. Rick says Chugs is the best quarterback. All right. My guitar is going to go Geno Smith. Ricardo Mendoza, Geno Smith. Raider Nation 88 is going to go Caleb Williams. Eric Surds, Caleb Williams. And then Steve going to go with Geno Smith. And my brother from another mother, Taino Raider, is going to go with Geno Smith.
Also, Taino yesterday sent me some funny memes as well. Y'all are
I mean, the amount of times that Taino just sent me the most random shit to my phone, like, I'll be just chilling at home and I'll get a text message. And if I see that it's from Taino, I'm like, what on earth did this guy just send me?
Is that a starfish?
I'll just say this. I finished in a lot of last place races in Taino's world. A lot of last place races in Taino's world. Let's go to Solomon Thomas. What's going on, brother? What's up, Mitch? How much do you think Lonnie's injury has affected the safety play, and how much do you think it'll improve when he returns? I mean, you can't say that it doesn't impact it at all, because the way that they envision to use Lonnie Johnson is we hear the term a lot, big nickel, and they planned on using him in this like big nickel role. The problem is, though, Lonnie Johnson isn't a free safety. Like, we legitimately don't have a free safety on the roster. I actually think that the injury or the player that we moved on from, Thomas Harper, actually has a bigger impact on our secondary than Lonnie Johnson. Now, don't get me wrong. I love, and I mean this, I love the fact that, the Raiders, how do I put this? I love what Lonnie Johnson has, shown, that he wants to get back out there on the field, that he wants to play. They literally put his freaking jersey on, his helmet on the first week. But at the same time, like, he's not a free safety. Like, we just don't have a free safety. Will it help out the depth? Yes, absolutely. Will it help out our special teams unit, which clearly needs a lot of help? Yes, absolutely. But we're still not fixing what our big problem is in that secondary, and we just don't have a free safety.
Oh,
we don't have somebody that can play center field. Oh, I just saw the news.
49ers?
Yep. The San Francisco 49ers have worked out safety Shiloh Sanders. I mean, you want to talk about a banger of a short. Banger. Lakers and Raiders. What's up, man? What if Pete Carroll retires after this season? I don't know. I don't think that would happen. I think Pete wants to be able to, coach as long as he possibly can coach. I mean, I said this before, and it's the truth, right? Like, the same person that told me back in November that Chip Kelly is a name to keep in mind for the Raiders, that same person also told me that Brennan Carroll could be somebody that takes over for Pete Carroll. So I'm like sitting there and I'm going, again, I've never been a believer of Brennan Carroll. I know I've said that on this show multiple times. But if Pete retired after this season, I think the two people that you would just have to consider would be the head coach, Patrick Graham or Chip Kelly. The problem is, I don't know if you want to give the keys to the car to Patrick Graham, and I don't know if you want to give the keys to the car to Chip Kelly, because the last time Kelly was head coach in the NFL, it was a disaster. It's just the truth. It was a disaster. And from what I've seen so far from Chip Kelly is Chip's still stuck in college. Chip's offense looks like a college offense. It's just very gimmicky. And I don't know what the head coaching plan would be. I have absolutely positively no idea. Let's go to I am Jason J. What's up, man? Could Chauncey Gardner-Johnson help at free safety? Could he help at free safety? Probably. But it sounds like a lot of his issues where he wanted to blitz more. He wanted to play up near the box more.
Yeah, well, and that's the problem is he actually has been bad in coverage this year.
Okay.
Like, he hasn't been good in coverage. And I think one of the major problems was the Texans have a Jeremy Chin, Isaiah Palameo style of player in Jalen Petrie, right? A guy who likes to play up at the line of scrimmage, almost like a sub-linebacker safety combo.
Okay.
And I feel like that's what C.J. Gardner-Johnson is doing best at this point in his career. So adding him, that doesn't help you at the free safety spot because the Texans, the play that lost them the game in Week 3 against the Jags was a blown coverage by C.J. Gardner-Johnson over the middle of the field. And he's had multiple blown coverages throughout the first 3 weeks. Now, the Texans defense has not allowed 20 points at all this season, so it's not like they've been bad. But if you're looking to have him come in and be like this amazing cover safety on the back end, he hasn't necessarily been that this year. And then as well, the one point of emphasis that he had was the Texans went to 0-3, and he said, I'm not used to this. This is not what I usually – like, I play for winning teams. If you think that he's going to come into Las Vegas and help a struggling team get better, that's not his MO. He's the guy who stands – he's the guy who stands behind everybody whenever they're beating other people up, and he's like, yeah. He's not the one that's going out there to cause the action.
And again, like, he's a talented player. But when you think about how often he's been traded, and we talked about this a little bit earlier on live. When you see and hear how often he's been traded, there's a reason behind it, right? Like, remember a few years ago, maybe it was literally last year, Deontay Johnson, the amount of teams that moved on from him over after and over, where he's a talented receiver. I'm not saying he's like a star receiver by any means, but he's good enough to be on an NFL roster. And sometimes, you just got to sit back and go, is that dude worth it? And I just don't know if Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is worth it for the Raiders because could he help out the team? Yes, he could. Does he want to help out a struggling team? The answer to that is obviously no. And I just don't know if you want to bring in somebody that I think might be a bad locker room fit. It might be a cancer in that locker room because he's already shown you that he's that guy in a lot of other locker rooms. So could he help? Yes. Yes, he could. No doubt about it. We got a few more super chats, I believe, to get to. Or are we all caught up now?
We're all caught up now. We're all caught up.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to get into the next segment on today's program, and that's going to be around free agent targets because to me, I do really think that the Raiders can improve in certain areas. And even though, Pete Carroll kind of said we're going to roll with what we got, I believe that we can improve. So to me, if I believe that we can improve, I'm at least going to let my voice be heard, and that's what I try to do every single day here. So coming up here on the show, we're going to get into some potential free agent targets for the Las Vegas Raiders, and then after that, I'll answer some super chats. After that, I'll give you guys an update on the duck race, because I do see we got some people in, and then we have one more segment to do. We got some Tuna's Top 5 coming up here in a little bit. We're going to have a lot of fun today. That I can guarantee y'all. You ready to rock? I'm ready to rock out with you-know-what out. Let's get it going. Yep. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and today's show is presented by Panda Sups. Before we get in to the top free agent targets that I believe the Las Vegas Raiders need to go out and look at before their Week 4 game up against the Chicago Bears. If you don't already know, use code Raiders at pandasups.com. You're going to be able to save 25% off on some of the best workout supplements out there. Now, I'm going to say this, and I want to know if you guys agree with it. Do you think that the Las Vegas Raiders can get better? Do you think that the Raiders can get better on offense? Do you think that the Las Vegas Raiders can get better on defense? If you're saying, yeah, and I think most people are going, duh, then hit that like button. And the reason why that I'm bringing this up is I know Pete Carroll spoke to the media on Monday. And Pete essentially said something along the lines of, we got what we got, and we got to get better with it. I don't disagree. You got what you got, and you got to get better with it. But I also look at this roster. I look at the salary cap, and I look at the free agents out there on the open market, and I go, there are potential starters that we could add to this team. There are potential players that we could add to this roster. There are free agents available that if you really believe that you want to win right now, and if you really believe in commitment to excellence, you're going to make a change. Because if you keep doing what you're doing, we're not doing anything this upcoming season. So the free agent targets that I have here are going to be ranked from 10 all the way down to 1, 1 being the number 1 free agent that I want the Raiders to go out and get. And I'll tell you this, he's never been number 1 on my list before. Troy Hill's going to be the first name that I bring up here because he signed with the Bucs last season, played only 8 games last year, but 202 slot snaps. and I've been trying to figure out a way to just help out the secondary a little bit more. And, you got Darnay Holmes, who actually I thought did an okay job this past week. You saw some, cruxes a little bit. Like, to me, if Darian Porter can get it going, you could put Kai Blue Kelly in the slot. Maybe it just helps out the secondary in general. But last season, according to PFF, a 63.2 overall grade, a 70.6 coverage grade. Our secondary needs some help. And I'm not saying it's all just the secondary's problem. I'm saying because our front four is unable to generate pressure unless your name is Max Crosby, that puts more pressure and stress on that secondary. So, because he's got a John Spytek connection is why Troy Hill makes this list. Let's go to number 9 here for my free agent targets, and it's going to be safety John Johnson. If you have heard me say center fielder before, that's exactly what Johnson is. Right now, they have Isaiah Paul-Lamal, who I think is probably better off being a right fielder. They're making him a center fielder, and we're getting torched. There's a reason why Isaiah Paul-Lamal is the worst safety in the NFL right now, according to PFF, ranked 76 out of 76. For John Johnson, though, he would actually be able to play that position. And if you have him play free safety, that allows Isaiah Paul-Lamal then to play the position that he's supposed to play. Box safety, strong safety. He did miss 15 games in 2024 with a fractured scapula. He missed only 2 games, though, from 2020 to 2023. He could play a multitude of different positions, but really, we would use him as a free safety. Joe Woods also coached him. He's one of the Raiders' coaches in our secondary for 2 years in Cleveland, and he started all 32 games. We know how important coaching connections are to this organization, and John Johnson, he's got it. Let's go to the next position here, and it's going to be Shaquille Barrett. And I know it says linebacker on screen. I am not using him as a linebacker. I am using him as a defensive end, as an edge rusher. He played only 1 game last season. Signed with the Miami Dolphins, then he retired. Then he got reinstated and signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady. He won a Super Bowl with John Spytek in 2019 to help them take down the Kansas City Chiefs. I know Barrett's old, man. Hear you loud and clear. 7.5 sacks over the past 3 seasons and 25 games played. The reason why Shaquille Barrett is on this list is because we need help getting after the quarterback. And there's a better option coming up here a little bit in the video, but because of the coaching connection and because of the struggles that Malcolm Kuntz has had, let's be honest, man, I think Shaquille Barrett right now at 35 years old would help this team out more than Malcolm Kuntz. I really, really, truly do. And if I believe that, I know I can't be the only one that honestly believes that. So, my question to the nation out there is going to be this, and this is going to be the pinned comment here on today's program. If you could sign only one NFL free agent, who would it be? My answer is going to be obviously number 1 on this show, and I'm going to tell you this right now. I really, truly think it's going to surprise some people. Let's go to number 7 here on my Raiders free agent targets list. It's going to be Mark Glowinski. I'm not saying that Mark Glowinski is better than Troy Hill, John Johnson, and Shaquille Barrett. I'm simply saying that offensive line is a bigger need than those 2 other positions that I just mentioned. He was drafted by Pete Carroll and played in Seattle from 2015 to 2017. So you got the coaching connection there. He's mainly a right guard, but has played a little bit of left guard as well. Last season, this isn't great, right? 52.1 overall grade, a 53.3 pass blocking grade, a 54.3 run blocking grade. Those aren't great numbers. But guess what? It's a lot better than Alex Kappa, I'll tell you that. It's a lot better than Dylan Parham, I'll tell you that. So, I understand that, some of these names you're going to hear they're not sexy names. But are they better? Yeah. The answer to that is yes. So if the answer to that is yes, let's figure out a way to plug and play them and put them in the football game. Let's go to another offensive lineman here, and it's going to be Liam Eichenberg. I'll admit, I was very wrong on Eichenberg. I fell for he was an offensive lineman at Notre Dame, and a lot of times Notre Dame offensive linemen transition to be good offensive linemen in the NFL. A former second-round pick that has played left tackle, left guard, center, and right guard. To me, if you've played left tackle, maybe we can also put you at right tackle. The availability that Eichenberg provides, if Pete Carroll's going to say that Charles Gray and Caleb Rogers just aren't simply ready yet, okay, well, let's kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. Do I think Glowinski might be a better player than Eichenberg? Yes, but I also think that Eichenberg offers you a lot more versatility, which is why he's ranked higher. He played 1,037 snaps last season, all at right guard. He had a PFF grade of 53.1, but the reason why he's also ranked a little bit higher is he has been predominantly a better run blocking guard than he has been a pass blocking guard. And I just think we need more help in the running department than we do in the pass department. So because of the versatility, because I think that he's better than Alex Kappa, because I think he's better than Dylan Parham, that's the reason why I would give Liam Eichenberg a phone call and see, hey, are you interested in blocking for Ashton Genty? Because I think a lot of offensive linemen would say yes to that. Coming up next here on the show, I got my top 5 free agent targets that I hope that the Raiders pick up the phone and give a call to. John, I'm looking at you. Before I get into all of that, though, today's show is presented by Panda Sups. Our good friends over at Panda Sups are hooking up the nation with a code. Now, you can get out your phone right now. I mean it. I want you to whip it out. You know what I'm talking about, Aggressive Master Raider. Whip it out. Scan that QR code right there. Could take you to anything. I don't know what it's going to take you to. If I had to guess, it's going to take you to Panda Sups. And if you use code Raiders, you're going to be able to get 25% off. If you want the hookup, you'll scan that QR code. If you're like, Mitch, I don't trust you, man, don't scan that QR code. If you trust me, I know you'll scan it. If you're looking for some options, though, from Panda, they got all sorts of stuff. And, I always tell people the products I like, but I mean this. You need to find the products that work for you. You need to find what honestly makes your engine run. To me, right now during football season, takes a little extra energy for me to go to the gym. So when I go to the gym, I want to be able to get the most out of my workout. If you work out and you don't take protein, if you don't take your BCAAs, if you don't take your creatine, you're really not getting 100% out of that workout, in my personal opinion. Now, I say that because those products work really well for me. Maybe I got to get some pre-workout so I can go to the gym a little bit more. Maybe I got to get some nootropics to help me wake up a little bit more, because a lot of times I'll drink caffeine. And I hit my energy deficiency when I have too much caffeine. It's like a bell curve. When you have too much caffeine, your body's just not going to respond to it. When you have nootropics, though, that wakes up your mind. So if you're somebody where you're like, I'm trying to ditch the unhealthy energy drinks, I'm trying to ditch a lot of caffeine, get the nootropics. I'm telling you, it's going to wake up your mind. And the first time I tried it, I really couldn't believe how good it was. From a protein standpoint, they do have some brand new premium whey protein isolate. I would encourage anybody to go try out their protein. It is sweet. I like sweet. If you're somebody that doesn't like super, super sweet, I encourage you to try out maybe some of their more fruity ones. But even their fruity ones, like they have like real freeze-dried strawberries, real freeze-dried pineapple, real, I'm trying to think of some of the other fruit. The one that they have with like blueberries, freeze-dried blueberries. Like, I like when I eat my protein. I'll say it like this because I've actually said this to the owner of Panda Sups before. When I drink a Bloody Mary, I like to chew on it a little bit. I like a thick Bloody Mary. I like to chew on it. It's kind of the same thing with their protein. If you want to be able to chew on it a little bit, giggity, Panda Sups is where you should go. Let's go to number 5 here on my free agent targets list, and it's going to be Jordan Whitehead, safety. And again, I'm looking to help out our secondary a little bit. 28 years old. 101 games start in his career, won a Super Bowl with Brady and John Spytek, and plays mainly free safety. He can also, though, help you out in the box, and he can help you out in the slot. I do honestly believe, out of all the free safeties that I've mentioned, I think Jordan Whitehead would be the most likely name that I'll throw out there. Some of you probably know another free safety that I'm about to mention on this show, but because of the connection, because it's not going to cost you as much, and because the role that he could play, Jordan Whitehead comes in here at number 5. Let's go to number 4 here, though, and some of you might go, Mitch, who the heck is DeMarcus Walker? He's an edge rusher who right now is available that would help out this team be able to go out and get after the quarterback, but also you got to think about what this show is. Today, the title of the show is the top free agent targets that the Raiders could sign before the Chicago Bears. Well, guess what? Walker started 17 games last season for Chicago. He's had 14 sacks the past 3 seasons. When I talked to our Bears host, Harrison Graham, about the type of player that Walker is, all he said was he just couldn't stop saying nice things about him. He was like, he's a great locker room guy. He's a phenomenal teammate. He hustles all the time. But also, Brian Stark, the Raiders assistant GM, drafted him in round 2 back in 2017. So you know there's a little bit of a connection there. I believe that we need more help being able to go out and get after the quarterback. And we play the Chicago Bears this week. To me, this is a two birds, one stone, which is why he's ranked number 4 on the list. Let's go to number 3 here. It's going to be Stephon Gilmore. I have been trying to get the Raiders to add help at corner. And the reason why I'm putting Gilmore on this list is because if you think that Eric Stokes is better than Stephon Gilmore, come on, man. Over the last 3 seasons, 48 games played, 48 games started. He's played in 100 games in his entire career. Played with Tom Brady in New England from 2017 to 2019. He did allow a career-worst 94.1 passer rating last season. Maybe it was just because the type of team that he was on. Maybe it was because they were, in a lot of shootouts and teams were trying to catch up to the Minnesota Vikings. But to me, if you put Gilmore on one side of the football, that allows you then to use Eric Stokes as your number 2 corner, which then allows you to let Darian Porter continue to learn, and it allows you to put Kai Blue Kelly in at the nickel. You could also make the argument that maybe if you put Gilmore back at safety, he's smart enough, kind of like what the Raiders did with Charles Woodson, where maybe you're not the athlete you once were at corner, but you still have the game up here. And to me, Gilmore could help out this team. Coming in here at number 2, it's Justin Simmons. And he's the best free safety available on the market. Started at least 12 games every year since 2017. His first DB coach was Joe Woods, and Brian Stark was with Denver from 2012 to 2024, a big part of the reason why the Broncos ended up drafting him. He's got AFC West experience. He's got 2 interceptions in every single year of his career, and putting Justin Simmons at free safety then allows Isaiah Palomino to play his best role, which is kind of that big nickel, box safety, strong safety, and just overall, our entire defense would be better because if we're unable to generate pressure, we need a secondary that can cover a little bit better, and Justin Simmons would absolutely, positively help us do that. So here's going to be my next question to you, and it's really not even a question. It's more of a, do you agree with this statement? I believe the Raiders need help on the offensive line. If you agree with that statement, I want you to type help down below because I think we need the help. I think everybody here watching needs the help. And the player I got coming up here next on this show is somebody that I really, truly believe could help out the Raiders' offensive line. Quite frankly, I think that they could start for the Silver and Black. Coming in here at number 1, I'm going to go Shaq Mason, offensive lineman. And Mason has played for the Houston Texans. He's bounced around a little bit. But when you look at his numbers on PFF, he's been a very reliable offensive lineman in the league for quite some time. He has started 147 games in his 10-year career. He played 931 snaps last season at right guard, and he has shown that father time is catching up to him. And he's gotten probably worse and worse and worse over the past 3 seasons. But you know what? If you told me right now I can get an offensive lineman that's just a little bit worse than what Shaq Mason did last season, where the hell do I sign up? I mean, I think every Raider fan would sign up for this. Now, I get it. I'm doing this because I think then Mason plays right guard. Then you put JPJ at center. If you're still going to be stubborn about it, you can put JPJ at left guard, and then you can have Dylan Parham be a backup. My point is, we can't be in a situation where Alex Kappa and Dylan Parham and Jordan Meredith are the 3 interior offensive linemen that we have because it's just not going to work. Shaq Mason makes this offensive line better, and if we don't try to improve our offensive line, we're just not going to win many football games this season. So here to me are the top 10 free agent targets that I would want the Raiders to target, starting at 10, going down to 1. The reason why Shaq Mason is number 1 is because I believe offensive line is the biggest team need. I'm not saying he's better than Simmons, not saying he's better than Stephon Gilmore, but based on team need, if we could only sign 1 offensive lineman, it's Shaq Mason. If we could sign only 1 free safety, I'm going Justin Simmons. If we could sign only 1 cornerback, I'm going Stephon Gilmore. If we could sign only 1 defensive end edge rusher, I'm going to say it's DeMarcus Walker. Now, there was some news that happened on Tuesday, and it was Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was released by the Houston Texans. And I know I'm going to get a lot of questions around Johnson. Here's the thing, though. The way things ended with the Texans is not very good. They paid him $6 million. They literally front-loaded that signing bonus, and then he said, I'm not happy here. I want to move on. He got called out at practice during tape review on a Monday. Didn't like that he got called out. He quit on the Houston Texans. I don't think that the Raiders want a player that has struggled at free safety. When I say struggled at free safety, more struggled in coverage, and a player that quit on a team. It's kind of a weird thing. Is he talented? Yes. But he does seem to be a major locker room issue, which for the Raiders right now is probably one of the last things that we need. But I knew people would talk about it. If you don't know my live schedule this week, I'm going to be live Thursday Night Football. I'm going to be live for the Raiders-Bears game, and then I'm going to be live on Monday for my early Raiders show and then Monday Night Football coverage. If you're not subscribed, check your polls, because I think this. You're going to be a smarter Raiders fan once you hit that sub button. You're going to be a smarter Raiders fan once you hit that notification bell, and you're definitely going to have a lot more fun watching this program. That I can promise you. Let's go through some super chats here on the program. What up, Raiders Wang? I feel you about Bowers. I see that. Do you think that Chip doesn't feel like he can run his offense due to Pete Carroll force hiring Brennan and Nate Carroll to the coaching staff? I don't know if that's necessarily it. I do think that there is a disconnect between Chip Kelly and Brennan Carroll. I've mentioned that one a few times, but to me, right now, Chip Kelly is running a college offense. And he's running a college offense in the NFL, and we're just not making the proper adjustments, and we're just not understanding the players that we have right now. Like, to me, we got to do more outside zone runs. We've actually looked really good this season when we've done it. We got to be able to throw the ball a little bit shorter instead of always trying to stretch the ball down the field. Chip Kelly needs to learn, and you can kind of see that he's still learning a little bit what the Raiders necessarily are. But to me, I don't think it's necessarily a Brock Bowers issue, though he does. Like, to me, I think Bowers needs more opportunities. Because even an 80% healthy Bowers is one of our best options on the offensive side of the football. But I do really, really believe one of the biggest factors outside of the offensive line of why our Raiders offense has looked so different from week 1 to the past 2 weeks is because Bowers isn't 100% healthy. And when you lose your number one target in your offense, like, I'm not saying Brock Bowers is Justin Jefferson, but if Justin Jefferson went down, the Vikings offense would struggle more. If Jamar Chase went down, the Bengals offense would struggle more, right? CeeDee Lamb goes down, the Cowboys offense struggled more. When you lose your number one option, your offense is just going to struggle a little bit more. Let's go to Patrick Roush Bang! Today, $50 bangs here on the Raiders Report.
Bang.
And we need 8 more bangs to start Thursday Night Football off with a boot. The Raiders defensive line is out to get Williams to help the secondary. The problem is Malcolm Kuntz has been a non-factor. They're not using Tyree Wilson the correct way. They're using him more as an edge instead of a defensive tackle. We're just not generating pressure, and teams know that, if I take away Max Crosby, you guys aren't good enough to be able to get after the quarterback. Justin Herbert, all day to throw. Marcus Mariota, all day to throw. I think right now the Raiders are struggling because they know that their secondary is not good enough, but you got to be able to blitz to get pressure, but you're not blitzing to get pressure because your secondary is not good enough. To me, if I'm the Raiders, I would rather die being aggressive than die being conservative, and I just want the Raiders to bring the house. I want the Raiders to try to rattle Caleb Williams. If you think that you're just going to be able to drop back, play soft coverage, and play zone and try to get after Caleb before, you're just not going to do it, and he's going to pick you apart. And that scares me a little bit because I just don't want to see this Raiders defense get picked apart the way that it did last week against Mariota, last week against the Commanders.
Yeah.
We do have one more segment to get to, though. I'm not going to lie, I got to pee pretty flipping bad. I've been pounding water here. While I go to the bathroom, this means we got a Tuna's Top 5 coming up here. And the question is, who is the most disappointing team in the NFL? The most disappointing team in the NFL. Let me know down below. My guy Chugs is going to hang out with y'all, answer some questions. He's going to be giving some shout-outs here. And then our Tuna's Top 5.
Let me know down in the chat. I have my top 5, and I basically based my list on expectations going into the season and where they're at right now. So there's some bad teams that didn't make the list. I didn't think the Dolphins were going to be good. So the Dolphins aren't a disappointing team, in my opinion. I didn't think the Saints were going to be good, so they're not a disappointing team. In my eyes, a disappointing team is a team that had high expectations going into the year and kind of fell flat on their face. So, I mean, the Raiders 1-2, call me crazy. I don't necessarily think they're a disappointing team in my opinion. I think, yes, are they somewhat disappointing with how they played the last 2 games? Yeah. But if I told y'all before the year the Raiders started off 1-2, I don't think a lot of people would be like shocked, crazy, and awe. Like, I don't think people would be like, oh my God, that's crazy that the Raiders started 1-2. My opinion. But let me know. I see Baltimore, I see Raiders, I see a lot of Raiders, Bengals and Giants, Raiders, Chiefs, Saints, Texans, Browns. The Browns just beat the Packers. Are they that disappointing? The Browns just beat the Packers. I mean, the Chargers are 3-0. I don't know how that could be disappointing. The Jets, I see, and I didn't think the Jets were going to be that good this season either. Taino, you're wild. What Taino just sent me is hilarious. We did just get a super chat also, by the way, from Stabler for President. Mr. Stabler, how are we feeling? Says, how much cap space do we have? I'm sorry if we have 20 million or more. We need to spend some of that. Let's actually take a look at that. Let me look it up. Cap space right now. Let's see. Approximately 36 million right now. I don't know if that's right. Mitch, do you know how much cap space the Raiders have right now? On Spytek, it says the Raiders have 9.2 million. Which, I feel like that's not right for this year. Yeah.
I mean, 9 million does seem awfully low. I'm trying to see what changed necessarily. I don't see anything that super glaring to me, but yeah, I mean, it says right now they have 8. I know next year they have a lot more. They have 95, and then in 2027 they got 173 projected. I mean, like, the Raiders do have a lot of projected cap space going forward. Maybe they're factoring in some with Cooper and Wilkins that we don't necessarily know yet, but because right now I'm looking on Spytek again, like, yeah, I mean, they have a lot of dead money on there for Wilkins. Like, right now the Raiders, according to Spytek, have $71.6 million of dead cap hit. And I don't know how all that is accurate because they got Devontae on there, which Devontae makes sense. Wilkins 14, Garoppolo, Wilkins again. Like, they actually have Wilkins on here twice. So I actually think that they have something wrong.
Yeah. I was like, 9 just does not sound right.
I mean, that's what, over the cap? Does Spytek have the same thing?
Spytek has 9 million.
So they both have 9 million, but if you go into the details of the contracts, right now I'm looking at over the cap, and they have dead money. They have Christian Wilkins at $14.1 million, and then they list him again at $10 million. So I think that there is actually some sort of typo in there because I don't think that that's supposed to be like that.
Yeah.
So I'm actually sorry, but I actually don't think there's something that's not aligning there. Clearly, right? There's not 2 Christian Wilkinses.
Oh,
yep.
Thank God.
Oh, man.
Could you imagine 2 Wilkins coming up to you in the locker room?
Nope. I'm not taking the bait, Chugs.
Who do you think is the most disappointing team in the NFL?
I mean, from where I thought they would be to where we are at now, Honestly, it's probably the Texans, dude. They're 0-3. Like I didn't think they would have this many issues. I thought that team, if you would have asked me out of all the NFL divisions, right? Out of all the NFL divisions, what division do I think is probably one of the most lock? I would have said the AFC South.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I'm probably going to go with Houston.
Yep. All right. Here's my Tuna's
I have no idea what Chugs' top 5 is, so this is going to be fun.
All right. My top 5 disappointing teams in the 2025 season so far. Coming in at number 5, it's the Atlanta Falcons. I thought there was a lot of promise for Michael Penix. You had Bijan Robinson. Fantasy owners were saying, is this the year that Kyle Pitts breaks out? Drake London, you had a good offensive line. Now, you did have an injury at the beginning of the season with Caleb McGarry, but still losing 30-0 to the Panthers, a division rival. Ugh.
Yeah, it was an ugly game.
Coming in at number 4, the Denver Broncos. Some back-breaking losses. They sit at 1-2 right now going into week 4. And coming from last year, all the Bo Nix hype, all the Bo Nix is a top 10 quarterback. Not looking like it. It's not looking like it right now.
Right now, the worst quarterback in the NFL according to many, many metrics.
Yeah, so I would have to say the Broncos right behind their AFC South foes, the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't see how you're a Chiefs fan and you're coming into this week 4 saying, I feel good about where we're at right now. I think this is the worst Chiefs team that we've seen in the past 5 years. Now, that's not saying a lot because the Chiefs have been perennial Super Bowl contenders year after year.
Yep.
But Patrick Mahomes doesn't look like Superman as much this year. Travis Kelce doesn't look like Batman as much this year. The guys are getting a little bit older, and it seems like some of that is starting to catch up with them just a little bit. Their wide receiver room has been in shambles to start the year, partly because you have a criminal in Rashee Rice who's been suspended for the first 6 games, but also injuries to Hollywood Brown, injuries across the board on this Chiefs offense. The defense has played okay. They've been pretty good, but overall, for a team that has Super Bowl aspirations, I would say it's a disappointing start for them. Maybe even more disappointing.
Oh, all right.
Baltimore Ravens. You had 2 separate games where it looked like you were going to beat really good teams to start the year. In the Buffalo Bills and the Detroit Lions. Both times, your star running back that you got in free agency, Derrick Henry, let the ball slip out, fumbled it, and led to the other team basically catching momentum and winning those games. If you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, you're looking saying, how are we going to win close games against good teams? Lamar's body language hasn't been good with that team. They have, if we're talking disappointing teams, you're talking have all the aspirations and just not meeting up to snuff. I think the Ravens match up with that right now, if you ask me. And number 1 for me, and it's not even close, it's the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans have by far been the most disappointing team. C.J. Stroud looks like the same Stroud last year that had a sophomore slump. It doesn't look like he's getting a junior year bump this season. The offensive line, who they completely retooled. Nick Caserio told everybody, the Texans GM, don't worry, we fixed the offensive line. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. The offensive line looks worse than it did last season, and it doesn't help that Laramie Tunsil, the left tackle who they traded this offseason, has 0 sacks allowed for the Washington Commanders so far in the 2025 year. Now, they drafted a young tackle in Ariante Ursery, but they went to Goodwill for the rest of the offensive line. They got a washed-up Laken Tomlinson. They got their center off of waivers. The right guard they traded a 6th-round pick for, and Titus Howard is a former first-round pick who maybe you wanted to play left tackle, right tackle, but he's maybe been the lone bright spot, and he's been average at right tackle. This Texans defense hasn't allowed 20 points in a single game. That's promising, but at the same time, the offense is averaging 10.6 points a game. That's not going to win you a lot of football games, folks. So, in my opinion, the Texans are the most disappointing team in the 2025 season so far.
I saw a comment from Raider 508, and he was like, 3 and 4 aren't disappointing at all. Like, meaning just because it's the Broncos and Chiefs, that he's not disappointed that they're 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, honestly, man, like, I think that this is a good list. I saw some other people, throwing a few teams in there.
Rebel, how are the Jags disappointing? They're 2 and 1.
Yeah, I don't get that one. Like, I agree with this list, quite frankly. Like, I would have put the Chiefs as overall disappointing teams. Ravens would have been in it. Texans would have been in mine. Falcons, you can make a real good argument that the Falcons should be on that list at 1 and 2. Because, I mean, Bears, I think maybe you can make an argument. Just because.
The only thing that keeps them out, recency bias, they just spanked the Cowboys.
Yep.
And I would have the Cowboys on the list before I have the Bears.
Sure. Though I didn't think the Cowboys were going to be very good, though.
Exactly. So
to me, I look at the Jets and Dolphins, both 0 and 3. That you can't be disappointed if you thought that they were going to be bad.
The Titans as well.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think that they'd be as bad as what they are, but they are bad, no doubt.
My hot take, which is looking like this dude doesn't know any ball this season. My hot take was the Texans were going to be first in the AFC South, and the second team was going to be the Titans.
Long season ahead.
Titans already firing position coaches. They're already. Or no, the Falcons did, but they're already taking the play calling duties away from their head coach, who doesn't know what a catch is.
You know who's calling plays now? The Titans. Good old Bo Hardigree. Which I think is kind of interesting for us because we're going to get to go up against Bo week 5.
Yeah, I see people saying the Bengals as well. I would have put the Bengals, but
they're 2 and 1.
Also, you have Joe Burrow injured.
Yep.
And I get coming off that game against the Vikings, it's disappointing. Brian Flores is one of the best DCs in the entire NFL. He's a top 3 DC, and you can't tell me otherwise. Going up against a backup quarterback, he's going to win 9 times out of 10. I don't think there's a backup quarterback in the NFL that you feel confident going into a week where you have to face Brian Flores.
I mean, Flores is unbelievable.
For a backup quarterback to try, I don't think there's a shot.
I mean, Flores is aggressive, and that's why I love what Brian Flores presents to teams because he's going, I'm going to make you uncomfortable. Like, I'm going to make you uncomfortable. I'm going to blitz, and that's what he does.
Remember what happened last year?
Oh, yeah.
Vikings, 3-0.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yep. That was
3-0.
4 days later, 63-21. I mean, the game, that 4 days was such a roller coaster ride. That's why I love the NFL, though.
Why did I feel like that was last year?
Well, last year I think we just blocked out of our memory.
Yeah.
So I don't blame any Raider fan for that. I try not to remember last season as much as humanly possible. It was the worst year covering the Raiders of my career. And honestly, wasn't even close. Coming up next here on the show, let's talk about the Raiders' Week 4 game up against the Chicago Bears. Now, I like doing this show because I like to be able to look at certain matchups. I like to be able to look at the way the Raiders stack up against, the Bears defense. So to me, if you're somebody where you're like, I want to know, advanced analytics. If you're like, I want to know some of these advanced stats. If you want to know where the Raiders can match up well against their opponents, I hope that you always check out the video that I drop on Thursday, which is my Raiders preview against whoever the hell they're playing.
Herman.
What up, Herman? My brother in arms for the Apocalypse Renz and Chugs. What's y'all's uptake on the 2026 offensive line prospects? Proctor, Minoga, Fanu. I mean, here's the problem. Haven't even begun looking at it yet, man. I mean, there's been a few names that I do recognize, like Proctor.
I know Proctor from Alabama. That's about it for me.
Somebody else also asked me about Manio. How do you pronounce that? Minogia? I have no idea. And I'm never going to sit up here and lie to all y'all. I will do my NFL draft research after the season, and it's just because, there's so many other things that you could look at. And I'm worried that if I already start looking at the 2026 NFL draft, I just think it's too early. And the only reason why I say that is because think about all the quarterbacks that we were talking about, all these, like, think about all offseason, like, oh, this 2026 quarterback class. I mean,
Klubnik looks bad.
Klubnik looks bad. Arch Manning doesn't even look like somebody I would draft. Like, if Arch Manning was available in the 7th round, I don't know if I would take him. That's how bad I think he's looked this year. Carson Beck looks like the best one. And we're right back, right? Like, so I want to be able to do some more homework later on, but I also don't want to sit up here and lie to you because I haven't done any research on any of these guys yet. Haven't done it. Like, I watch college football, don't get me wrong, but I watch college football right now just for, like, the enjoyment of watching college football. I will sit down near the end of the season, and once we get into more of, like, once we really truly get into, like, the end of March, early April, I will sit down and I'll watch probably, if the offensive line looks this bad, I'm going to sit down and I'll watch almost every single snap of these guys, and then I'll give you my opinion. But, Herman, I know you're an OG. I know you're a long-time watcher. I know you just got a new IG, so I'm sorry that I can't answer this question better, brother. All right, Chugs. Let's get into the final segment here on today's program, and then we are going to do a duck race. Friendly reminder, that is a $20 Venmo today. You'd have an opportunity to win $70 here on today's program. We will do that right after this segment. You ready? Hang on, let me get a sip of my water. Shout out to Gabriel Ruiz, bro. I use this mug all the time. All right, let's get into this mug right now. The Las Vegas Raiders are going up against the Chicago Bears in Week 4 action. My name is Mitchell Renz. You're watching the Raiders Report, and I'm going to tell you everything that you need to watch for in the Raiders Week 4 preview game. Here's the thing. Both teams, 1-2. Pete Carroll, Ben Johnson, it's going to be a storyline that a lot of people are going to be looking at. And here's the thing. I have seen in certain places where the Bears are favorites. I've seen in some places where the Las Vegas Raiders are favorites. I really, truly believe that Allegiant Stadium is going to be split with Bears fans, and it's going to be split with the silver and black. The bottom line is this, though. If you don't already know, I will be live for this game. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure those notifications are turned on, because if you can't make it to Allegiant, there's one place you should be. It's here on the Raiders Report. Now, last week we gave away $1,860 in duck races. I'm hoping that we're able to give away close to $2,000 yet again. Also, you're going to have a chance to win a signed Ashton Genty helmet. If you're wondering why should you subscribe to the Raiders Report, it's because we are the #1 place for Raiders watch parties. So I'm going to tell you all what to watch for. We're going to start offense. We're going to go to defense. From a quarterback position, Chip, you need to help Geno Smith be great. And for Geno, you need a obvious bounce-back game. I'm not talking about the Week 3 game, because I thought he played well in Week 3. 289 yards, 3 touchdowns. But the last time the nation saw you at Allegiant Stadium, I don't think we need to bring up what happened. But I also look at the Chicago Bears defense. This has been a defense that has allowed 8 passing touchdowns this season. They are ranked dead last in terms of passing touchdowns allowed. To me, I want to see Smith get rid of the ball quicker. I want Chip to develop plays where we're able to get rid of the ball quicker. Because when you are holding on to the football for the longest in the NFL, and then you're also pressured in the first 3 seconds, the quickest in the NFL, that's a problem, and we need to learn from it. Let's go to the running back position now. Obviously, I want to see more work for Genty. The running lanes, when you give him running lanes, you can easily see that he's got that it factor. 3.7 yards per carry this past week up against Washington, which is okay, but the #1 thing I want to see more of, more outside zone runs. Over the past 2 weeks, when the Raiders did outside zone runs, they ran the ball 9 times for 74 yards. This is where I'll say, Brandon Carroll and Chip Kelly, you got to get on the same page. There needs to be communication during the game going, hey, we're having a lot of success doing these outside zones. Let's try to run them a little bit more. Because if you're telling me we're averaging 8.2 yards per carry on something, why the flip aren't doing it a little bit more? The Bears have allowed 363 rushing yards to running backs this season. That is ranked 31st in the National Football League. There is no excuse to not watch tape and learn from the tape. And the tape tells you, stop running pistol right up the middle and run a little bit more outside zone. You're going to have a lot more success when you run the football. Let's go to the wide receiver room next up here on the Raiders Report. And, one of the things that I mentioned last week, if you don't believe me, go check out the video that I did, what to watch for. I said, you got to get Trey Tucker involved a little bit more because the tape tells me that he is open way more often. He's got all 4 of the Raiders receiving touchdowns this season. Nobody else has another one. I want to see the Raiders stretch the field against Chicago, a defense that right now is allowing 17.2 yards per catch to the wide receiver position. That is dead last in the league. I know the Raiders can take advantage of the deep ball. I know the last time we tried to really take advantage of the deep ball in a home game, the Raiders struggled. The thing is, though, when you get your ground game going, you show that you can attack the middle of the field. You show that you are willing to take what is given to you. That's then going to open up the deep ball. And the Raiders' offense the past 2 weeks hasn't been able to throw the ball deep because defenses know that you're not trying to attack that 10-yard gap there right in the beginning. If you attack that a little bit, it's going to open up the field. Take what's given to you, and then you'll be able to stretch it a little bit. Giggity. Be honest with me, though. Confidence level in the Raiders to beat the Bears. Scale it from 1 to 10. 1, you're not confident at all. Yeah, 1 is, Mitch, they're going to lose, man. 10 is you have the utmost confidence that we're going to be able to get a dub. My answer is going to be coming up here in just a second after this YouTube ad break. I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to go, it's a 4. And maybe that's not a fair statement to make. Maybe some people are upset that I'm saying it's a 4. The reason why, though, I'm saying it's a 4 is because the sample size that I've seen the past 2 weeks, where the Raiders have had a week to prepare for the Chargers, a week to prepare for the Washington Commanders. We were just super unprepared. I want to be proven wrong. I want Pete Carroll to show this to all the Raiders players out there. I want Pete Carroll to get that extra motivation because I don't think there's a single Raiders fan that is confident in this team. And that falls on the shoulders of the coaches. It falls on the shoulders of the players. Prove to everybody that you do care being a Raider, because I haven't seen it the past 2 weeks. Let's go to the tight end position here. And obviously, with Michael Mayer still in that concussion protocol, I'm going to be calling Ian Thomas to take a little bit of a larger role. I know that he's a wide receiver, but I think you could also see a little bit more run for Jack Besh in this game because they're kind of using Besh as a wide receiver. I kind of want to say as like a backup tight end as well. But Bowers played in 83% of the snaps in week 3, and he's just clearly not healthy. Like, it is what it is. I know we got a super chat earlier on the show, and it was more like, oh, we can't play Bowers if he's not 100% healthy. I think you got to play him because he wants to go out there and he wants to play. Also, though, one of the biggest issues why the Raiders' offense has been struggling is because our number one option isn't totally there. The Bears have allowed, though, a league-high 24 catches to the tight end position, 27 targets, 24 catches, which tells me that our guys are going to get open. We just got to be able to scheme them to get open, and we're going to be able to move the chain. So for the tight ends, if Bowers is the only guy out there, because I really don't think Michael Mayer is going to be able to play because of that concussion protocol, to me it just means we got to get him involved a little bit more. You might see a little bit more of Ian Thomas. You're probably going to see more of Ian Thomas, and you're probably going to see a little bit more of Jack Besh this game. But let's be honest with ourselves here. The number one thing that Raiders fans are going to be looking for, the amount of messages that I got this past week of the only thing I'm watching is the offensive line. I can't blame you. And you know what? I don't think that you really should almost watch anything else besides this offensive line, because if you're not blocking, you're not going to be able to win. And if you're not winning in the trenches, it's going to be really hard for us to be able to put up points. And from what it sounds like, Pete Carroll wants to try to keep Jackson Powers-Johnson at right guard. They want to try to keep Jordan Meredith at center. But because all eyes are going to be on this Raiders offensive line that has allowed 12 sacks this season, that is on pace to allow 68 sacks this entire year, a team that is literally on pace to be historically bad, the most sacks the Raiders have ever allowed, 67. And they did that in 1967. JPJ is better than Alex Kappa. And if we're going to throw out the continuity argument again, well, let's throw out the continuity argument of the Raiders, the offensive line we had last season, trending in the right direction with Joe Philbin, with JPJ at center. The Bears, they have 5 sacks this year. They are tied for 28th in the NFL. They have struggled being able to get after the quarterback. They have struggled against the run. To me, if your offensive line can't get the job done against the Chicago Bears defense, that's where we really have to sit back and look at ourselves again and wonder, do our coaches know this roster? Do our coaches have a vendetta against JPJ? are our coaches too proud to admit they are wrong? I think this game is the number one game, the biggest game for the Raiders offensive line. Because if you think I've been loud this week about put JPJ at center and fire Brandon Carroll, if they struggle against Chicago, get ready, because it's about to be Josh McDaniels type of loud. Coming up next here, though, let's talk about the defense, because the first 2 weeks, defense played well. This past week, defense did not play well. And, I go back and I look at how that game was trending last week, where the Raiders tied up 10-10. And then they essentially gave up 31 points very, very quickly, basically the final 3 minutes, and then the second half. Just no adjustments were made. The secondary struggled. We couldn't get after the quarterback. Really, really difficult to watch. Maybe our defense needs to be a little bit tougher. Maybe our defense needs some Panda subs. And if there's anybody out there that wants the hookup, all I'm going to say is this. Scan this QR code right here. If you're like, Mitch, I don't know how to scan a QR code. Whip out your phone, click the camera button, hover over that bad boy, and then there's going to be a little link that's going to pop up on your phone. You're going to click on that link, and then you're going to be able to get the hookup. If you don't know what the hookup is, there's only one way to find out. What I do know is, though, Code Raiders is going to help you save 25% off at pandasubs.com. If you spend $99, you're going to get free shipping if you live in the United States. If you spend $125, not only are you going to get Panda Subs free shipping, you're also going to get Panda Subs creatine. And if you need something to be able to put your workout supplements in, they also have a bunch of gear. They got hats, they got t-shirts, they got drawstring bags. Actually, their backpacks, if you like tactical backpacks, they're actually like really, really good tactical backpacks. If you want to know what some of their best sellers are, some of their best sellers are right up there on screen. The link is down in the comments. It's down in the description. Pandasubs.com, code Raiders for 25% off. Let's go to the defensive side of the football now here on the Raiders Report. And we got to talk about the defensive ends, because it's really the Max Crosby show. And what teams are doing right now is they're double teaming, they're triple teaming them. It's the same song and dance year after year after year after year. To me, Tyree Wilson needs more snaps. He's only had 21 last week. You're not using him in the correct way. You're lining him up more as a defensive end, or actually you need to be able to line him up more at defensive tackle. The other person you got to take snaps away from is Malcolm Koonce, because he's been horrific this season. He's been the worst defensive end in the National Football League. He is ranked 116 out of 116 according to PFF with that 37.7 overall grade. If it's third down, let Malcolm pin his ears and go after the quarterback. But if it's not a for sure fire passing situation, I'm sorry, Malcolm can't be out there on the football field. And if the Raiders want to actually try to win football games, they got to figure out somebody else besides 98 that can get after the quarterback at the defensive end position, because haven't seen Snowden, and Brennan Jackson isn't getting a lot of work either. Let's go to the defensive tackle room here, and I'm hoping that the Raiders get Tonka Hemingway some reps. J.J. Pegues, honestly, I'd like to see him out there on the field as well. But right now you got Thomas Booker and Jonah. These are your top two defensive tackles right now. And I'm actually a little bit disappointed in what I've seen from Adam Butler. I don't know if Adam Butler got paid and hasn't been putting in as much work as what he's done before, but he's clearly taken a step back. Now, maybe Adam Butler needed a Christian Wilkins to really showcase that he can be a good number 2 defensive tackle instead of a true number 1. But right now, if you're the Raiders, you just can't get run on the way that you did last week. It needs to be better tackling, needs to be better discipline, needs to be able to shoot up the gaps. What's going to be challenging, though, is Chicago spent a lot of money this offseason on that interior offensive line. They traded for guards. They went out, they added the center. This is a team that values the interior, and it's going to be a big test. You better not let DeAndre Swift run all over you, because he really hasn't been running over anybody this year. At linebacker, the key words here are tackling, tackling, tackling. The key words are assignment. And the Raiders linebackers got to stick to their assignments, because I do think that, yes, they bring a lot of physicality. Yes, they're flying all over the football field, but it's very undisciplined football from the linebackers. I want to see more work for Jamal Adams. He played only 15 snaps last week, and the reason why I want to see him out there on the field more this week, and I feel like a broken record, because I keep saying, more Adams, more Adams, more Adams, right? And the reason why I want to see more out of him this week is because he does offer you a lot more of that sideline to sideline. I think his blitzing, he's shown you that he can blitz really well. And for a Bears team that they're going to throw the football, Caleb Williams is going to try to make the big play. If you can rattle him and you can get north and south, it's going to help out a lot. Also, from these linebackers, got to be able to show that we can cover the tight ends. The Bears tight ends have 13 total targets this season. That is tied for 28th in the NFL. So Chicago really hasn't been utilizing their linebacker room a lot. They've really been utilizing that wide receiver room, which we're about to talk about here in just a moment. I want you to fill in the blank, though, okay? Because to me, I always in my mind try to put a number of the Raiders got to score this amount of points if they want to get a win. Problem is we haven't been able to put up many points this season. So what is this number at home at Allegiant Stadium against the Chicago Bears? My answer coming up here in just a moment. My answer is 27. And I believe if the Raiders want to beat the Chicago Bears, they have to put up at least 27 points. Chicago with Ben Johnson is starting to get the ball rolling a little bit, and that's going to be a team that they're going to want to try to embarrass you. You're telling me Ben Johnson doesn't want to try to embarrass the team that, he decided, I get it, he picked Chicago over the Raiders, but I also think that he's looking at that going like, I want them to know what they missed. I want them to know that they maybe should have offered me a little bit more. I think it's 27 points. That's the number I'm hoping for. And I think if we get there, we should be able to find a way to win. Let's go to the cornerback room now. Eric Stokes has been the number one. But to me, are they going to play Darian Porter? Because Darian Porter got 16 snaps this past week after Kyle Blue Kelly was benched. And, Kelly got roasted a few times in that game, right? And Porter was drafted in the 3rd round. But Porter, when he played, he actually, I thought, did a pretty darn good job. He was one of the highest graded PFF players that we had. Also, you could see that athletic ability was out there. Right now, Chicago is averaging 233.7 passing yards per game. That's 11th best in the NFL. What I really want to know, though, is who's going up against Rome Odunze. Because Odunze leads the team, 16 catches. Leads the team, 227 yards. Leads the team in 4 touchdowns. I don't know if it's going to be Kai Blue. I don't know if it's going to be Eric Stokes, but right now the safety blanket for Caleb Williams is Rome. And if you try to take away Rome, I don't know if they're going to be able to build it in a day. Let's go to the safety room up next here for the silver and black. And Jeremy Chin, I'm looking at you. Isaiah Paul-Amal, I'm looking at you. Our safety room has been a disaster this season. It has been. It was a good first game, but the last 2 games, our safety room has really struggled. Isaiah Paul-Amal right now is the worst safety in the National Football League, number 76 out of 76, according to PFF. But I think both of these guys need to be able to stick to their assignments. I think both of these players need to, play up near the box a little bit more. The Bears have 12 plays this season with more than 20-plus pass yards. The Raiders secondary, their safeties, they've been getting beat deep a lot because you're asking guys that aren't center fielders to play a little bit of center field. But the other thing that I want to see our safeties do is get physical because DJ Moore struggles with physicality. I also think Rome Odunze at times struggles a little bit with physicality. But for our safeties, if I'm going to play up near the box, I want them also to play up near the first down marker because what drives me nuts with Patrick Graham's defense sometimes is how soft they play. And instead of lining up at the first down marker, they line up 2 or 3 yards back. The catch is made. They met at the point, and then they get the first down by a yard. Rome Odunze this season has 12 first down catches. He is by far Caleb Williams' number 1 target on 3rd down. If I'm the Raiders, I want to try to utilize our physicality at safety and try to take away Rome Odunze on 3rd down. From a kicking and special teams perspective, we got to be better on kick returns, got to be better on punt returns from a defensive standpoint. I want to say we gave up close to 250 total yards on special teams last week against Washington, and that just simply can't happen. Yes, Carlson has been doing a good job. He's 6 for 7 on field goals this season. He's got to be able to continue to knock those through. But right now, the Bears, they are 5th best in the league, averaging 27.2 yards per return. If you have a defense that struggled and you're just giving up all these yards and you're putting them in a negative situation, we just got to start off the game strong. The past 2 weeks, we started really weak. Deebo Samuel had a 60-plus something yard return, and they start to drive at the 27. The game before that, Geno throws a pick in week 1, or on his first throw. I just really, truly believe if the Raiders start out stronger, they're going to have a better chance to win this football game. Now, when you look at the week 4 matchup, okay, I mentioned this earlier. Depending on where you look, it's going to change on who's the favorite. I've seen Chicago be -1.5 favorites. I've seen the Raiders be -1.5 favorites. What I will tell everybody out there, bet the over, because this one's going way over 48.5 points. If you don't know when I'm going to be live for this game, I'm going to be live 3 p.m. Eastern time, which I know is a little bit earlier than what I typically go live for, but our Bears host is going live at that time, so I said, you know what, we're going to challenge him. I want to get more likes. I want to get more subs. I want to get more super chats. I want to get more audience. And the only way that I'm going to do that is if the nation decides to show up. So if you can't go out to Allegiant Stadium, pull up here where it's going to be an hour 25 before kickoff, and we're going to be going balls to the walls. If depending on when you watch this show, if you don't know, I'm going to be live for Thursday Night Football, and I'm going to be live twice on Monday. It's going to be a lot of fun this week. Hopefully, we can get a win. All right, y'all, to everybody that's watching this live show, we got a duck race to do, and then I am going to get on out of here. Though, I think that we might have a few super chats to get to, and then we will get into our duck race. The last time that I checked, I saw that we got Phillip in.
2. Untouchable Raider, thank you for the $1.
Chadwick, I got you in, and then Manuel Ruiz, I got you in. 20 to win, $90 here on this program. Brock Bowers, more or less 49 receiving. I'm going to go more. And I think you have to. To me, it has to be the more because Mayer's going to be in concussion protocol, so you have to be able to use him effectively. And Bowers just needs more opportunities.
Raiders weighing the Ginty helmet raffle, I believe, will be on Sunday.
No, I believe it's the final day that I'm live in the month, so I was going to say, I think it's next Tuesday. So, see you next Tuesday. See you next Tuesday. Somebody's going to have an opportunity to win a signed Ashton Genty helmet. Again, courtesy of John Fallon. John, greatly appreciate the message you sent. Greatly appreciate, you donating the helmet here to the Raiders Report. All right, y'all. I'm refreshing my phone. I see John Polito. John, you in? So right now, winner goes home with $100 here on the program. Winner's going home with 100 doll hairs here on the Raiders Report. Whew. Oh, man. I'm not going to lie to y'all. That Monday night game last night, I'm a little bit disappointed in how tired I feel right now. I hope that it's not too obvious. But I've also noticed, Mondays just suck when the Raiders lose. Weeks, they stink when the Raiders don't win. I really hope that the Raiders can get back in the win column. It just makes everything so much better. I don't know about y'all. All right, I got one more name getting in here. I have given you guys plenty of opportunities. It is right now up to $110 to the winner. I don't know what race we're going to do. I have no idea what race we're going to do. For those that do not know, I will be live again then on Thursday. If any big-time Raiders news happens tomorrow, I will do my best to get you guys a video on it. If you didn't hear the news that I said earlier, at this point, it's probably 2 hours ago, the Raiders, they worked out linebacker Luke Masterson, and they worked out defensive back Shamar Bartholomew. Those are the 2 players that the Raiders worked out today. I know. Luke Masterson, special teams. Bartholomew, special teams. Winner of this race, going home with $110 starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's get ducky. I'm down to duck. I'm down to duck.
Duck around and find out.
Got that right, Mitch from Boosted. I mean, I hate admitting it, but it's the absolute truth. When the Raiders win, I just enjoy the week a lot more. When the Raiders lose, getting up on that Monday, you're like, oh man. And I felt okay when I went home last night, but this morning when my alarm went off, I was like, oh boy, it's a little earlier than I wanted to get up. Luckily though, Chuck was like, bro, you got to get up and take me out. John Polito right now with the lead, but don't sleep on Manuel Ruiz. Justine Gonzalez starting to fall back a little bit. Darth Fatass is just chilling right now with these cucumbers on his eyes. He's just getting a nice mask in. Soldier Man's wearing a scuba gear, but he's not even underwater. Uh-oh. The Night Devil's creeping. The Night Devil's creeping. It's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable how often that guy wins. The Night Devil with the win. Also, the last duck to get it in. Congratulations to the Night Devil.
Chadwick gets the bunghole.
Fabian, if you could please confirm that you just received $110 here on the Raiders Report, that would be much, much appreciated. Much, much appreciated. All right, Nation, I'm going to hop on out of here again to everybody that always makes this show a lot of fun. I greatly appreciate y'all. Hopefully, we can get a big-time dub up against the Chicago Bears, and hopefully, y'all decide to pull up for Thursday Night Football. We did not get the amount of bangs to start Thursday Night Football with a boot. It's all good. But that I will say this, we got some cool things planned. Jerry and I have been talking about a deal that I think a lot of y'all are going to enjoy. And Thursday Night Football this week is going to be a lot of fun. Let's tell you this. Thursday Night Football has to be a lot of fun if the Raiders keep on losing. And I guarantee you will have fun on Thursday Night Football. From Chugs, from me, whole Chat Sports crew, I'll see you guys live Thursday Night Football here on the Raiders Report.